and just leave me standing there. Can you see at the corner of your eye, I stood like a bridge while you sit and decide whether or not you're going to let me know? Oh my, oh my. Are we live?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, hello. Luckily, my pastry hasn't cooled down completely. One of my eggs is over by the computer, though.
No, I put it there.
Okay. I was just saying, I'll wait until one or two people come in. Don't worry about sharing this. More people are looking who's coming
so
back.
Beverly's back in, and it's Matthias. So they both say welcome back.
Thank you.
4 people are in. Who else is in?
This is much more complicated than we thought. I was just saying before, you know, blessed are you that have good internet. For us, we've been traveling for nearly 2.5, 3 years, and internet's like water in the desert. It's so hard to find and so hard. I mean, the amount of times I've had to go to the local shopping center just to find a cafe to upload a video of late is getting quite frustrating. And I've had to buy another $40 of data just now to make sure we've got enough on the phone, because in Australia, the internet is so appallingly expensive and slow. I don't want to moan, but I've got a friend in Thailand who can stream unlimited for a few dollars a week on 4G connections, and it's so frustrating for us. Anyway, you're back. If anybody's come back in. We are going to lose the odd person. I understand that, and it doesn't matter.
Okay, so we've got Nice Prom says NBN ? Don't get him started on that one.
It's nothing. It's not even that. It's the fact that you have to pay $120 a month just to get half decent internet, and they still only give you a certain amount of data. And in technically third world countries like Vietnam and Thailand, and you can get for sort of $30 a month unlimited super fast. And this morning we bought another 15 gigs just to try and get us through this show. It's $40 for 15 gig. And I'm still having problems because just the beauty and the reliability of being able to turn the tap on and have internet is a big blessing. Trust me. It's one of the bands of our life, isn't it?
It is. So Kelly's back in from Macon Girl. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Kelly.
End up cutting off. We was enjoying the marathon video.
Yeah, now I've seen about 8 pieces. So
Lady G says hello, peeps. So we're coming back in.
So now we've got a marathon live video that's broken up into. I've already done it now.
It's not down enough. Down.
Okay. So 2 eggs. Let's get them in there before this gets too cold. We were going to do this nice and quickly, weren't we?
3 eggs.
Oh, 3 eggs.
Yeah, but I probably whisk those in before you add the last one.
Yeah. Now, usually put 1 egg in at a time.
I've seen your question, Coach. I'm just letting you finish what you're doing.
I'm just going to draw these together. I don't want to put all 3 eggs in. Normally I put them 1 at a time. I can actually put just 2 in and get them up to a stage where they start to bind together.
So yes, internet can be a pain, Kelly. Hopefully that's it now. We've got power, we've got internet. We're going to finish.
Last egg.
So I will ask, Coach asked, is there a soy alternative for beef jerky? It's just a bit from what you were doing.
A soy alternative? You mean with no beef? Is that what they mean, with no beef?
Yeah.
Now you see that's coming together now. I get the speed up a little bit. The old hand whisking. There are some vegetarian beef jerkies, but you know, I'm not big into you know, I'm not a channel, I would say, that specializes in that sort of thing, so I don't tend to concern myself too much with it. Occasionally I'll do a vegetarian dish or something that's, you know, relatively vegan, but because it doesn't fit with my lifestyle, I don't tend to give it massive amount of consideration. You know what I mean? So I probably need a largest piping bag now.
Okay.
Whoops, it's gone a little bit soft. Hello, everybody. Some of you beautiful people have come back time and time again. I thank you very much. We were actually just about to say let's knock it on the head and leave it, because I really wanted to do this, but I can already feel the fatigue coming in a little bit, and I can't find my scissors. I thought they were under the egg box.
So Mike Does Music says, glad to see the stream is finally stable. And Maxi Bake says, yeah, you're back. Hi.
Hey, Maxi. I'm being a little cautious. I don't want the hole in the end of my piping bag too big. Probably a little under half an inch, because I'm doing miniature eclairs. I'm going to bake these in a moment onto some wax paper, or baking paper, not wax paper, baking paper. Sometimes I use that terminology, wax paper, baking paper, interchangeably, and I get into trouble. It's just a habit from when you're young. You tend to think of wax paper. They're not the same thing, by the way. Wax paper doesn't bake very well. It doesn't bake at all. It burns.
Gatin Mona says, hello again. Good to see you both. You're doing extremely well.
Thank you, Gatin. Right.
Oven on?
Yes, if Michelle would just get the oven on for us up to temperature. I am going to, this was going to be a super quick demonstration of a choux pastry. I'm going to put the dough now, hopefully the camera's picking that up, into my pastry bag. I might as well get it all in there, because although we're not going to use it, it's better off in the pastry bag. I can save it for later. Hello, everybody. I'm looking forward to having a bit of food. Michelle's just done a little bit of baking paper. It is a bit short, but I'm not too worried. I might even run over onto the
They're doing small ones. You don't have to do
onto the tray.
So
I might as well have lots.
Lady G says, I'm actually enjoying this live. Thank you, Steve, and beautiful Linda. God bless you both. Michelle.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Good. Want a bigger bit of paper, because it might stick.
Why not? We can use this paper for something else. Give it to me. I will make my piece of paper, which I'm not very good on. You know, she makes. We talked earlier on about you know, those little men that you cut out at Christmas time where you fold the paper over, and I did a mistake earlier on where you fold them out and then you cut the wrong side off and you open them, you've just got loads of half men stood there. Well,
that's what I did then.
That's what Michelle did. She just kind of slightly underdid my baking paper. Oh, nice little tip here.
That's all right, Lady G, I understand.
If I can find a crank-handled spatula, it's not covered in syrup.
So Mike Does Music says, we're looking forward to you sending each of your viewers some of the food you're currently preparing. One can dream. We'd like to.
I would, because I can't eat it all. These make great little tools because they're very soft edges for just trimming up your paper. So if you want the paper to fit exactly, you can just, because you can fold it, but it can get a little out of hand. And this baking tray is an odd size. Never been a good size, this tray, has it? No. We bought this quite some years ago, but it never quite fitted in any oven properly. It's just a little bit wide, a little bit long. But you can see, back in view. Can you see the camera? Everybody looking at nothing. So we've got our choux pastry now.
It might just use it. Says, "Oh, so kind. If only if it was possible to send him some food."
Oh man, it would be. I certainly don't need these in my diet at the moment. I'm just going to pipe these. And they're probably a little too small, do you think, Michelle?
Oh yeah, just a little bit bigger maybe. The hole's quite small, isn't it?
So I'm going to put a little more weight on these.
So you're not going to take a cook at that size.
Now, you guys that are watching can comment. Now, the only thing I've noticed when you're doing choux pastry in a bag that hasn't got a nozzle on it is the seam of the bags. These plastic bags have got a seam. And if you turn the bag sideways, you get that seam mark on the pastry. Now, I've cut that a little small. I'm going to cut it a little bit bigger.
Just there.
Because what I'm doing there is I'm kind of forcing, I'm forcing the batter to run a little slower. So I'm just going to run one on here. Okay.
That's better.
So now I want them about a couple of inches long. They're going to expand quite a bit in the cook. Now, if we find for any reason that these don't work, we could probably do some more. This is one of the things where I actually haven't pre-tested this recipe. Well, I've done the recipe many times, but I haven't pre-tested the size. You see what's happening? The seam of the bag, the little seam that runs up the side of the bag, is pushing my dough out crooked. So a nozzle.
Yeah, good size then, I think.
I think so, yeah. A nozzle is a good thing. The only thing I could come a cropper with here is having them too close together, because they do rise in the bake. But I only need about 6 or 7 of them for my project today. You see how you get more confident as you roll along. Now a little bit of water, just in a cup. I'm just going to touch down these spikes because they can burn. Oops, got a bit heavy-handed with that one. If you're doing this at home and you've not got a live stream going, you tend to take your time a little bit more. And I should just take a deep breath, slow down a little bit.
They're looking good.
How are you all today, by the way? Maybe Michelle can give me some feedback. I'd love to know how you all are.
So getting Mona says, good tip with the seam, thank you.
Yeah, I found before with these disposable bags, these ones have a fairly tight seam on the side of them. See, these ones here, I don't think are going to work that well. I think they're a little too narrow when I cut it just a bit too conservatively. And I found that when I was piping them, you can see along this one here, if it's in shot, this one, and this one, the seam makes a ridge, quite a distinct ridge on the side of the eclair, which is fine because an eclair is not particularly a smooth bake anyway.
So has anybody new in joined us?
Is anybody new not seen the clotted cream yet? Or the strawberry jam? Or the lemon and meringue tarts? We baked a fair amount today.
Mike Does Music says 1 hour until midnight here in California. My day was good though. Nice to catch your stream before heading to bed.
Yeah, good, good. Thank you for joining us. I mean, it's a shame this stream wasn't going to be one long stream. I was hoping to get a really sort of ridiculously long stream in. What temperature have we got the oven up there, Michelle?
200.
200. Oh, 200. 200 and dropped to 180?
Yeah, but we did it 15 minutes and then we dropped it for 20 minutes. We're not going to need anywhere near that.
I think we're going too high on 200, Michelle.
So I think we go on the 180 and just watch them.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop. You can imagine that the volume of the eclair is a lot smaller than a full size eclair. So I think these are going to shock into size fairly quickly. So I don't think we need to go 200.
No, so we do the 180s, which is 350 Fahrenheit, and we'll just watch it probably 15, 20 minutes.
What was the bake that we did on the full size eclairs?
We did 200 for 15 minutes and 180 for 20 minutes for 35-minute cook.
Yeah, we're going to go probably, I think they'll cook quicker. I'm going to go 180 to start with, and I'm going to just keep an eye on them. I might have to bring them out earlier, though I was wrong with the lemon tarts. The lemon tarts took almost as long.
I don't think they'll take so long to dry. I think 20 minutes are going to be cooked on those.
And I might even, I don't know whether I should turn the temperature down. You guys out there, tell me, you experienced bakers, what do you think with these choux pastries? If I were doing a little a little profiterole, I do tend to bake them a little bit less if I'm doing a small profiterole. So you're learning with me. We're gonna bake these for ovens again, not up to temperature.
Nice. Moves on.
Now the clotted cream at the back here. Come in here, everybody. Not that you can. It's hot. Now that has been in for over 12 hours in a bain-marie, in a slow cooker. It's got this beautiful buttery surface on the top. A little bit of oil's coming out. This is about a 40% butterfat cream that I've been able to use here. And you can use ultra pasteurized cream, by the way, as long as it's got a really high butterfat content. And I think this is going to be quite nice. I'm actually going to take these two that are finished out of there, pop them into the fridge. And right now, when the eclairs go in, I'm going to show you what the clotted cream looks like, or should we save it till the very end? Now, I want to know myself.
So we've got North American YouTuber, it says 2:02 a.m. where I am. I'm writing a book. And Kevin Smith says 2:02 here, not writing a book.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
And Lady G says, I love chocolate eclairs. They're my favourite cake.
Chocolate eclairs. I said, who was that?
Lady G.
Lady G. I said, and I know not everyone agrees with me, has to be fresh cream in an eclair, just from my childhood. I'm not keen on that custard, that creme patissiere custard that they use. That's more a sort of French take on an eclair. I love it with just fresh cream, and I love it with a coffee icing on top. It's just my favourite. So I've got 2 pots of clotted cream. Shall I ask questions while I'm going to the fridge?
So Beverly N said, did I miss how you're going to cover the chocolate or that coffee cream?
I will answer that. That's important.
It is. Not so much room in the fridge.
I'm running out of space.
So Beverly wants to know, chocolate or coffee cream?
Beverly, I've decided to go with a raspberry cream, a raspberry icing topping.
And a chocolate one.
And a chocolate one. I'm going to go with the chocolate, but I'm going to go with a raspberry. I've got this raspberry flavouring, I guess you would call it for want of another word. It's an intense raspberry flavour. I was looking for strawberry because I thought it would be more in keeping with the English theme, but raspberries are just as good. Yeah, so that's what we're going to go with.
Di Hedges says, morning, Steve and Michelle from England, just gone 7 a.m. here. Nathaniel Fu says 7 a.m. in London. And Lady G says, but chocolate eclairs are very fattening though.
Yeah. None of this is good. None of this is healthy eating.
And Michael's Music says, I'm no chef. I love to learn from both your channel and other YouTube channels. Your channel is my favourite.
Thank you very much. In go the eclairs. Let's keep an eye on the time.
So what do you want, a 15 to start?
Yes.
Hey Google, give me 15 minutes. Okay, 15 minutes.
Isn't Google great? It's better than Apple. So
Maxi Bake says 20 to 25 minutes I cook them for, but that's gas 6.
Yeah.
Are they as small as this?
Here's the clotted cream. Look. This, okay, there's a little bit of that soft cream underneath. No, that's not too bad. There's a little bit of the softer cream underneath. But what I tend to do is take this clotted cream. Now, if there's a little bit too much water, no, it isn't actually. It's all good. I would mix the clotted cream, the sort of buttery. Come back up to me. I would mix that buttery rich cream in with that very much softer cream, so you get beautiful, almost like elastic clotted cream. Okay, that's not bad. This is the first time I've tried this in the slow cooker, and this is the pot we took out this morning at the beginning of the live stream, so it hasn't been in as long. Wow. You know that clotted cream taste? It's sort of cross between butter. This is really unhealthy. Yeah, that's perfect. So I'm not going to serve this one with my scones. I'm going to serve one of the other ones later on. So that's coming along good.
So Di Hedges says everything is good for you in moderation. Ha ha. Everything
is good for you in moderation.
One girl says raspberry.
Except for jumping off a building, even in moderation.
Lady G says the original eclairs are my favourite with proper cream.
Yeah.
And Gata Ramona says I'm with you on the fresh cream and the chocolate icing.
Eclairs. Lemon curd mixture.
They're talking about the fresh cream and chocolate icing.
Oh, I got the wrong spoon in the wrong one.
And coffee. Now you messed it up, have you?
Go on.
Is it nicer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yummy.
I've got to read comments. So yes, they're all liking the chocolate and the raspberry and the coffee eclairs.
Yeah, the coffee eclairs were very good. They're my favourite. This is my little test pipe. Just going to take that off of there. The coffee eclairs are my favourite. Given a choice, that's the one I go for. And we wanted to do a strawberry eclair, but Queen do this baking paste. It's called Raspberry Intense. They reckon 1 teaspoon.
The Queen.
The Queen. They reckon 1 teaspoon is equivalent to a whole punnet of raspberries. It is so intense, this stuff. No sponsor. Do I have to say that? That if you actually eat it on its own, it's not nice. It's too acrid. Because of course, the first thing Michelle and I did was, oh, what's this like? Oh no, it's not nice. It was like licking.
You can get what it would taste like if you put the right quantities in.
Yes, yeah. The overall sort of, I think we need a little tidy up, Michelle. I can't.
Okay, so.
I'm going to get Michelle to help me just have a little tidy. I'm running out of spoons. I'm running out of countertop space.
Sorry.
I'm running out of clean surfaces. This kitchen is really nice. As you can see, we've got a lovely setup here, but it's got, in the whole kitchen, we've only got this one little corner of countertop, and it's only about 2 foot by 3 foot wide. That's the only place I can work. So you can imagine that it gets a little bit frustrating. When do these kitchen planners come up with these ideas to to work in such a confined space. It's right if you're just doing one thing, but if you're doing something like we're doing today, and you've got to keep working on the same bit of counter. Where is the rest of the jam?
Over there. You want it?
Don't get it. No. I was interested to see what the strawberry jam tastes like. So here's my strawberry jam, proving to you that it's set perfectly. Look at that. Perfect strawberry jam. It's a little bit airy, so let's take some of that strawberry jam. Some of our clotted cream. And this is going to give me an idea. No, I'm going to have to try it again. Double dipping, I don't care. You know, clotted cream, strawberry jam, clotted cream, raspberry jam, strawberry jam, either one of them. Wow, that is so good. Michelle can try that later on. That's the combination that I wanted. That strawberry jam is not too sweet. And that's if you saw the earlier part of the stream, you see how simple it is to make a bit of fresh strawberry jam. So to be honest, when we buy jam or jelly, I say jelly because I know a lot of Americans call it jelly. When we buy strawberry jam, we don't eat a lot of jam, so quite often it'll stay in the cupboard for months on end, and we just sometimes when you feel like it, it's good. So it's nice to know that you can, if you've got some frozen strawberries in the freezer, you can knock up your own really high quality strawberry jam with some strawberries, lemon, water, and sugar. In a short while. Now that jam will last if you put that in a bowl, in a jam jar, a mason jar that you sterilize with hot water. You'll keep that for months and months. It's a preserve, right? That's why it's called a preserve. It'll last for sometimes years, and then you can just have that really nice, not overly sweet jam to your heart's content. Now, if you decided to do blackcurrant jam, raspberry jam, blackberry jam. Those don't really need lemon in them because they have quite high pectin, don't they, Michelle? Raspberries particularly. Very easy to set. But if you find any particular fruit, like figs don't set that well. A lot of people like fig jam. I'm not a big fan. If you find that it is not setting, then just add some lemon rind, some lemon pips.
Apple pips.
Apple pips are good. Yeah. Most pips you can add, you can try and pick up a pip. Most pips are going to give you. So now I've got a few more bites of that. What's the next cook, Michelle?
Chicken.
Did you ever think you'd watch a live stream with somebody just doing a bit of drying up? Some things I don't need to dry up here. Just Next, I'm going to do the southern fried chicken because I really need something savoury in my stomach at the moment. So we're going to do southern fried chicken. I'm actually using little fillets of chicken breast, which I sliced up this morning. Many hands make light work. Don't worry about over just want to get around and just check out if anyone's asking us. Now I know if I'd have I'm just wondering if this makes really boring viewing.
Water Girl says it's always fun to see someone else do dishes.
Exactly, Water Girl.
And Di just said, lovely to see you involved with washing up.
Every day, Di.
Maxi Bake says it's very important to taste everything twice for quality control purposes. I found Steve.
Exactly. And I tell you, you know why I went in twice? Because it was good. Sorry.
So, Gatrimona says, is clotted cream like mascarpone? Could you cut it? Oh, hang on, it moved. Could you cut it with regular whipped cream?
No, clotted cream is not like mascarpone. They're similar, but it is not like mascarpone because clotted cream is more buttery. It's more inconsistent. Mascarpone tends to be. I'm just trying to remember when I made mascarpone quite a few times. Is mascarpone set with lemon, citric acid?
I think so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't want to put sugar in your clotted cream. That's spoiled.
Yeah, you never, ever want to put sugar in with the clotted cream. You want to have sugary things with it, but cream with clotted cream has its own sweetness. You know, it's the fatty sweetness of the lactose that's in milk. So when you actually when you condense the milk like that, you put it in the heat, you are causing a change in these sort of enzymes of the cream, and those lactose sugars are coming up into the thick fats of the cream and creating quite, I think, a sweet taste. It's not sweet in the same sense as a bar of chocolate, but it's sweet in the sense of the caramelization you get in tomatoes when they're cooked without sugar.
So, Raggy says, yo, back in the room, break for about 10 minutes. Last set starts about 1:25-ish. Wild crowd tonight. Party on.
Good man. Raggy, we've had terrible time with the internet connection, so that's all good. Lovely to have you back in, buddy.
And Di just says, no, I'm loving this. That was you drying up, I think.
My drying up over my clotted cream, the last one that's in there, just to dry it out. Is that bad? Should I admit that sort of nonsense? It's only a damp tea after all. Now, chicken. Southern fried chicken. Let me get you something. Not literally. Don't go away. Homemade masa, made from corn, from nixtamalized corn here in Steve's kitchen. A video, not this particular one, a video that will be coming up sometime in the future. Now, masa is what we're going to be using today with our southern fried chicken to make the most delicious, not cornbreads, but tortilla breads. And then we're going to do them a little dainty. We're going to cut them to size, and we're going to make some tacos. And tortilla tacos, I think they call them in America, do they?
Yeah, because they're going to be baked, aren't they?
Yeah, so we're going to make them in tacos. We are going to serve them. So we've got southern fried chicken. Imagine this, southern fried chicken. So a lovely batter fried chicken. It's not going to be real deep Louisiana, Alabama. So it's not going to be done as well as that, but it is going to be served with a little bit of crumbled maple fried bacon. So the bacon is going to be, it's a smoked bacon with maple and a little bit of homemade mayonnaise. So everything's going to be homemade. Should we start with the chicken?
Yes. Some flour.
So, more importantly than flour, I am going to need some chicken.
Yeah, I know, but I just got a plate here.
Where
It's got flour. It's in the fridge.
Ah.
Top shelf, I think.
So you want some, I think, some chicken tenders, some nice little strips of chicken, not too big because we want to keep our portions fairly dainty. So we've got these little bits of chicken. We are going to need to just get a larger bowl. And I want a wider mouth bowl. So we're going to flour the chicken, a little bit of salt and pepper in the flour, a little bit of Cajun seasoning. Where's my Cajun seasoning?
Is that going in the breadcrumbs or in the...
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the flour as well. I just want a little in there to give some spice. So this is a beautiful Cajun seasoning. I'm running a little bit short of it, so that was probably a daft thing to put it in my flour down here. A little extra salt.
Hey Google, stop. That's 15 minutes for the eclairs.
15 minutes for the eclairs. Got to stop. Cajun chicken. How long did we do in total last time, Michelle?
35.
There's another 15 and we'll keep going. They are looking really pretty.
15 minutes.
They're looking really pretty. They're just perfect little eclairs.
Pass me a bowl and I'll put all the breadcrumbs.
Just a little bit of seasoning in there. So, are we going to get away with just one egg?
I'm going to do 2 if you want.
I'm going to give you a masterclass.
You're doing lots or a little bit?
Oh, we do a load. We do a load.
You might need a bit more.
That's enough. So I've got my breaded chicken. I'm putting in some of my Cajun seasoning. Now this seasoning, yeah, it's a good idea. What we're going to bake, we're going to fry at about 170. So I'm going to 170. That's about 325 Fahrenheit. Your oil needs to be quite hot, but not super hot like you do French fries, because we don't want the breadcrumb to go too dark. I think if we take it about 320 Fahrenheit to 170 Celsius, we should get a nice golden brown. Let's hope. Now I've got these breadcrumbs here. Michelle's just outside. We're going to fry these in the garden, in the yard. I've added some Cajun spices in with the breadcrumb. I'm going to also add in probably close to half a teaspoon of salt for this amount. You know, if you're not sure with a breadcrumb spice like this, let me give you a little tip. If you're not sure about your spices, take a little bit, try it. If it doesn't taste good, and these taste gorgeous, a little bit of heat. If it doesn't taste good raw like that, it ain't going to taste good cooked. All right? So if you're breadcrumbing things, now, normally southern fried chicken's done in just a batter, but it's the same principle. If you decide to do this in just a batter, taste the batter. If the batter tastes good cold, it's going to taste really good cooked. So what am I going to put my eggs in that bowl?
Probably another one under here. I think we'll be done.
Okay. So you need for this process, you need your chicken. I'll bring you down in a minute. You need your chicken, you need your egg, and you're going to need somewhere to put the good stuff into. So there's a lot of pots, yeah? In that one or that one? That one will be fine. Might be better on a flat plate. Where
that one, put it in when it was cooked. I was getting ready.
I'll do it in the bowl then.
Yeah. Okay.
There's been shows in the past where couples cook together. It's I think that you know, and it's kind of like a bit of fun like this. This ain't polished. This ain't polished.
So Raggy's going for his last step. He's off about 3 o'clock.
Good old Raggy.
It's a great show tonight.
Knock 'em dead. Knock 'em dead, mate. Raggy's such a good musician, such a good guitar, ukulele, whatever you like, and just a nice guy all round, really.
Try this because you're going to be lucky in a minute.
So we've got our mixing bowls are done, are clean, our sieve is clean.
You're clean.
Coffee.
And the coffee cup.
You enjoying watching that? So now, important when you are doing your chicken. All right, keep one hand for your wet stuff and one hand for your dry stuff. That way you won't get so messy. So I'm going to take my chicken tenders. Start the right way around, Stephen. And I'm going to, this is going to be my wet hand now.
It's because you're in the wrong place. This will be there.
Yeah,
So,
I know. I got all right. So take your chicken tenders and remember which is your wet hand. This is my wet hand. So I'm just going to drop my chicken into the flour, a little dust over, a little coating. Okay. Get some seasoned flour on there, into the egg, little coating, into my, see, did it wrong, into my batter.
It's because you're watching him.
This is my dry hand, all right? Back into my egg. I'm going to double dip this. Back into my batter, keep the dry hand. And that way, you're going to end up with your nice little bits of breaded chicken ready for Michelle to fry outside for me without getting too messy. So pop these pieces of chicken in there. Use my wet hand to coat them. Pay attention. Drop them into my crumbs, my seasoned crumbs. Joe, you want to help this? Maybe just chuck them in so we get a bit of a speed up going. Otherwise, this could be quite boring to watch.
Here quite a long time, couldn't we?
Yeah. Back into my right. This is an exercise in working as a team. So my little chicken tenders nicely coated. Pop them in there. Take the wet hand in. Get the batter out. In, coating over. Is this showing on the camera? Okay, was it showing when you were around there?
I think so.
Take my chicken tenders, pop them on the side. We won't probably do all of these, Michelle.
I need them all.
We'll save some for cooking later.
You get them all out into there. Once I do.
No, you'll get mucky if you do that.
Now I've got the other hand. All right.
All in. I'm coming in.
It's coming in.
Leave those ones. So what we're doing is this double coating. That's enough. That's enough.
Enough?
Yeah, we're not.
Yep.
We'll cook a handful of these because Michelle and I will cook these later on for ourselves. We'll have them. You guys don't want to watch me do dozens and dozens of chicken fillets. Put it back in the egg. Another coating, wet hand, back into the batter. Another coating, wet hand, back into the breadcrumbs, sorry.
So a North American YouTuber said, this is fantastic. I want to stay to watch, but because of the time, I have to go. Take care, everyone. Thanks for the excellent video, Steve.
Well, you're always welcome.
American Gal says, what are you making nice, Steve?
This is southern fried chicken. Kelly.
And Di Hedges says, great teamwork, guys.
Take a few of these and drop them in there.
And Gatramona says, best kitchen team ever. Every kitchen needs a Michelle.
Everyone's got a Michelle, haven't they? Have you not got a Michelle in the cupboard somewhere? I fold her just below the ironing board. In the careful she doesn't throw something at me. We get on too well to argue. Most of the time. Most of the time. I'm just doing a few more, Michelle, because it looks a little bit measly.
I thought that wasn't much.
Did you hear that, little ladies, gentlemen? There's a little whisper in the background and Michelle saying, I'm going to the loo. I know I shouldn't dob her in, but she may be covering for me soon. So get those bits of chicken back into I'm running out of egg. You can see I should have gone for 2 eggs, but being conservative. Second dipping back out back into the breadcrumbs. Coat them over nicely. Put those 2 in there. A little bit of breading. I'm going to bring you up in a minute, camera-wise. Don't worry, because I think we've got enough beautiful chicken coated here.
Should I bring it up?
Yeah, why not? So I think we've got enough beautiful chicken coated here to get what we need. I mean, there's probably 3 times that. This is just a couple of breasts of organic chicken.
Are they fresh or dry breadcrumbs?
These are dried breadcrumbs, not fresh.
Is that everyone laughing at me? What did you say to
I told you to leave. Right, just let me wash my hands. Michelle, you can come around and say hello to everyone while I get all this off the...
It'll take a while to get that off his hand. It'll be like glue. You just about have enough egg, I think, as well, don't you?
Yeah, now, I did actually come up with a good tip for getting this off your hands, and it was to rub it in dry flour.
Did it work?
It would have worked if I bothered doing it.
If you remembered. We'll cover the rest of the chicken, put it away, and I get some kitchen paper, and I can go out and fry that stuff.
Yes, please. So, we do have a dishwasher.
Tastes too long.
Oh, did you put some more chicken in there, or did I put more chicken in there?
I didn't put any more chicken. I haven't been there.
Oh, there's another couple of bits of chicken there. Do you think you could just finish them off?
Okay.
Not quite enough egg.
Nice.
Oh, it's starting to wane now. How long have we been on?
What about
5 hours?
5 hours? Let's have a sit.
Let me have a sit down. Let me have a sit down. Would you excuse me? I'm not going to hear your answers because Michelle's out there. You stay on the chat for a moment, Michelle, until we get to a stage where I can sit. Would you excuse me if I make a cup of coffee, guys?
Where did you put the breadcrumbs?
Over here. Oh. Do you know, I think if I sit down, I might not get back up.
Oh, you'll be fine. He'll be fine. He's going to make a cup of coffee. I'll get his second wind. There'll be no stopping him.
No shutting out. That's what you mean to say.
No. I think the little doggy wants a bit of carrot. At the fridge.
Now, tip for you people with dogs that are overeating and overindulging, as a lot of us humans overeat and overindulge. Carrots are one of the best snacks for dogs. They almost all, without exception, I barely found a dog yet that doesn't love a piece of carrot.
Oh.
I'll do that. So carrot, even a big carrot like this, if you take a slice of carrot, we've got 2 dogs here. One big dog, one small dog. Carrot is so healthy for dogs, you know. It's got carotene in there, but mainly it's water and fiber, which is perfect for a dog that likes his snacks but doesn't want to keep putting the weight on.
I think I got them. I haven't got them.
Gabby, you too.
Here they are.
Can't see them. Here we go. There's yours. There's yours. And they could not have been happier. They're like, hey! It's just, and rather than giving them a lot of those processed snacks that you can buy in the in the shops and things, which are generally, you never know what's gone into them. Trust me, carrot once or twice a day, a little bit maybe before they go to bed, so the stomachs have got some fibre in them overnight, and you can't go wrong.
So Kevin Smith says, only if you're sharing. I think that's when you ask if you'd like to make a cup of coffee. And Beverly N says, maybe you should make a sandwich or snack too. It's coming.
God, you see, this is why I want this chicken fried. Because we're going to do some pretty little thing. You know, at the end of this chaos, which is Steve's kitchen today, there's going to be a tray of the most delicious food.
Anybody wants to come around and share it?
Yeah, if anybody wants to come around and share it.
So Maxie Blake says, oh my God, 5 hours, really, you both need another cake for energy, half.
I need something savoury.
The Jamaican guy says, put your feet up, Steve, have one of your special brews, energy boost. Ignatius C said, my dog loves digging up and eating any carrots I try to grow. It's not very clever, but it is for the dog. This is a Foodie Heaven Marathon. It's a champion undertaking. Well done. Di Hedges says, well done for lasting this long. You're a legend, Steve. Di Hedges also says, thanks for the tip, read the carrots. Lady G says, well done, guys. 5 hours straight streaming. Cool.
Look, we often spend as much time filming, so I thought it would be just as easy. It's not. It's harder.
Okay. Then the time goes off, it will be your Claire's.
Can you pop in now and again, just read some comments for me so I can have a chat?
Okay, Google, stop. Hey, Google, stop.
It's falling to pieces now.
No, it's good. That's your Claire's, so you need to check those. Yeah. Good, I think. How you doing?
The eclairs. You know that smell? I don't know if any of you have baked eclairs. There's a sort of smell. It's a slightly eggy. It's an eclair smell. See, I can't even describe it. But anyway, the smell coming out the oven. No, I'm watching now.
Yeah.
You can't get till I've got my coffee set.
Oh, okay.
Here. Okay. Cheryl's out the door frying the chicken. I said,
I fancy chicken.
Come around and say hello to people.
I keep coming around and saying hello to people. I don't do this.
Well, maybe once
and he's not being mean, not making me a coffee. I generally only have 1 coffee a day, and I've had mine this morning, so I've been drinking the water. Hence, I needed a little bathroom break, which is where he'll need to go. He keeps drinking this coffee. True.
Yeah.
True.
True. So, do you want to froth a little bit of milk? I'll have a cappuccino. While you're walking away, she's not keeping you entertained, so she might as well froth the milk.
I'm not the star entertainer.
I wish YouTube will come up. Maybe in the future they will. I'm almost certain they will, where you guys could talk to us. Maybe just one at a time, so it could just come through, and then I could have the comments coming through. I guess that could get tricky with trolls. We don't really have trolls on the channel. I suspect with some channels that could be really troublesome. But with us, I like it. I'll take one of those eclairs out and show you. I'll use my fingers. Just look. Super hot. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect little eclair. And they're cooked. They can come out. Look at them. They are cute. If an eclair can be cute, they are the cutest eclairs. Are we using the cooling rack? We've only got 1 cooling rack.
But I can put those onto a plate now.
You check the comments in a minute and no, do the cooling rack first. Look at that. Look. It's cooked all the way through. Looks like an eclair. Tastes like an eclair. Come down here. Are there any tongs anyway, Michelle? Well, I know we seem to only have 1 set of tongs. Oh, I know you need them, but I need them first.
So Di Hedges said, I missed the beginning. Can you recap what the full menu consists of? Well, we didn't actually reveal what the full menu consisted of, did we?
No, I can go through what we've done, Di. So these are Claire's. Is that in camera?
Yeah, nice.
So these are the latter ones, the later ones that I did.
Cutest doll size perfection.
And they are my favourite ones. When I made the hole a little bit bigger. So Di, the concept is to make an afternoon tea set similar to you'd have in a 5-star restaurant. So miniature finger foods, starting with, well, we're not starting with, we actually haven't done our scones yet. We're going to do some beautiful scones. You see the first ones I did? They're a little bit too small. See that one? Just drop that one in the middle there.
So for making girls, those finger foods are the best for a special occasion like this, especially for a royal wedding. So,
and that's why afternoon tea is so popular, because you know it's all simple little finger food, and these little eclairs will sit beautifully on a tea set, filled with cream, raspberry sauce on top, raspberry icing on top. This little one's no good. and this little one. They cook perfectly. You want to try me some?
Thank you.
Okay. They need
Clotted cream.
Michelle dipped it in the clotted cream.
I haven't had any yet.
Good idea.
I'm going to cook the chicken.
Yes.
Right.
Any questions I need to?
A lady Jew stopped drinking coffee because it wasn't good for her.
We don't drink a lot of coffee, and actually every sort of second day or so we drink even less, like 1 coffee a day, 2 coffees. This is only my second coffee, and it'll probably be my last coffee, so I'm down a lot on what I used to drink.
I'm not sure what Di Hedges, what she's referring to when she says, and it waddles like an eclair.
Talking about me?
I don't know. I can't quite get the. So Lady G says, "Well, Steve, you're hungry. Make the chicken strips." Yes, I'm
yes.
going to make them now. Is the oven off? We don't need it on.
We're going to turn the oven off. Save a little bit of electric. Just shut the door for the shower. I am here. I'm just coming around to have a quick look at the comments. So if you want to throw a comment directly to me, now's the time. So yeah, I mean, I'm actually going to be filling those eclairs with regular cream, and then what we're going to do is we're going to dip them in a chocolate icing, and also I said a raspberry icing. So far we have got lemon and meringue pies. I'm going to get a lemon and meringue pie while we shout out the room. Just see me have another one because I'm so hungry. If I trip over and damage. So I've got these miniature little lemon and meringue pies. The meringue is delicious, by the way. Mm. Now, that is so good. I go back to what I said before, is I think I would actually put a little bit of cornstarch in the meringue. It may give it a lighter texture for when I'm piping it, because I just have to pipe it on. And what I mentioned about the piping nozzle as well. I'm going to shut up for a minute. that is fresh masa. It's actually a couple of days old because I made it a couple of days ago, but so it's not super fresh masa. But that is masa for making some flatbreads. We're going to make fresh masa flatbreads. We're going to bake them into little tortilla shells, and then we're going to serve those with homemade mayonnaise, a really nice mayonnaise that I made on my channel. I don't know if I made it on my channel, actually. I might have just made it here. I make it so often I forget. Not that we have a lot of mayonnaise, but when I do want it, I make it. I did make it on the 5-stick blender recipes. And so we're going to use a little mayonnaise, a little maple bacon crumbed onto that, and some chicken tenders. Maple bacon's going on the top. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to go around and read the comments. If you've put anything there, I'll read them now. Man, that chicken is looking nice. I can see Michelle up there frying the chicken. If it looks like, tastes like, walks like, yes, I do. Yes, well, no, you have told her, Kelly, by saying sneaky, you won't tell. She won't be watching this back, I'm sure. Lady G, thank you. I'm looking forward to a little bit of chicken, actually. So it's a slow old theme when you do a live show and you're doing it over such a long period. You can have some downtime. Now, Michelle's actually cooking this in a new fryer that we got, and it is something that I'll be reviewing very shortly on the channel, because we've got a new series that we're thinking of doing, American Fairground food. We've been having some fun. I know it's not healthy food, and I'll be putting out some disclaimers about that, because you do have to be, she's at the door, you do have to be careful. But it is super fun. Have a look at these. You know, 170 degrees, 320 Fahrenheit, and these chicken tenders, I mean, they're perfect, aren't they?
Don't eat all the good ones.
Don't eat all the good ones. They're all good ones, Michelle. They've all come out beautifully. So, chicken tenders. Whoops, almost knocked my coffee over. Beautifully fried chicken breast or fillets.
Did you answer that? Is it deep fried chicken or shallow fried? What oil?
Deep fried chicken. We've gone with a sunflower oil. I was going to use my favorite oil at the moment for frying tends to be a rice bran oil, because it has a high smoke point and it doesn't impart much flavor. We went for sunflower oil because it has also a high smoke point. It's a little less healthy, I think, but it imparts quite an interesting flavor with fried food.
Okay, American girl, what are you going to tell? Sneaky, what did you do when I was out there?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay.
Just chatting.
So ZerX Explosive says, hello, love your cooking videos. Jelly Duck 100 says, good evening, Steve, great cuisine.
Jelly Duck, how are you?
And Gatimono says, wow, they look fab, well done, Michelle. Thank you. And Water Girl says, crispy. Can I have one? Just one?
Have you had one?
No, didn't eat one when I was out there. They'd be too hot anyway. Now, no more, because they've got to be...
Oh, perfect. A little more seasoning. I'm a bit short on the seasoning because we're running out. We got this lovely Cajun spices that we bought some time ago, and I can't get it anymore where I am, so I'm being a bit thrifty on it, and I shouldn't have been.
But they cook really quickly, and they just floated. When you knew they were cooked, just ready for them to brown. Hot.
Perfect. Now I have to ask Michelle to check what is next.
What's next?
I've got a feeling, are we down to tortillas?
Yes, and the maple bacon. Now the oven's clear.
Maple bacon.
We have a tray.
I've been able to get this. We don't always get the best. I make good bacon myself, by the way.
See, the piece of paper that I cut for you earlier, it's perfect. I knew I was making up something.
Look at that. Oh, sorry. Down here. One tray. This is a maple. This is already a maple glazed bacon. I make maple syrup glazed bacon. So what I'm going to do, you can fry it, but I think it works well just to, I'm going to lay it out on a board. I'm going to bake it in an oven about, probably going to go about 180 again. That might be a bit high. What do you think, Michelle?
No, that'd be good.
So this is a maple glazed bacon. So it's a nice fatty, streaky bacon. We don't want low fat bacon. It's got no flavour. It's got to be full fat bacon. So it's streaky with lots of fat running through it. Oh dear, I get to save some bacon for another day. But because even though it's a maple glazed bacon, I still want to take a little. Is the camera in good shot?
Oh, yeah, is it the way down?
Come down a little lower. I want to take a little drizzle of maple syrup. Not too much, because it actually only ends up getting wasted if you put too much on. You just end up stuck on the board.
So,
Just a minute, I'll get these in the oven. Or unless the question was poignant.
Lady G just says, I love bacon.
Yeah, who doesn't? Now I'm going to make sure there's enough to smear it all over. A little bit more. I've been a bit mean. I'm running out of stock. I'm going to have to do another shopping run. So we want to completely coat this bacon in a thin layer of maple syrup. It's going to do two things. It's going to add a lovely additional maple flavour, but it's also going to allow it to caramelise and firm up. Oh, I love that. Pure Canadian maple syrup. We're just going to pop this in the oven now and just let it cook and cook and cook. Oh, our fly's coming. Aussie fly.
That was me.
If the fly comes in to show in the thing, he's a friend of ours. Don't worry. We're good mates. So we're going to pop that in the oven.
So Maxi Bake says the chicken looks scrummy or looks yummy. I have a Cajun spice mix recipe, Steve, if you need it.
Yes, please. Who said that?
Maxi Bake.
Maxi, send us a. I love to have new Cajun spice recipes. Send it to me.
Celia Reed says here from Texas.
Yeehaw!
Right.
Was that a little bit inappropriate for Texas? They're nice, aren't they?
They are. But no more, because we haven't any left.
No more?
No more. That's all we did. We'll put some more later.
So we have got our maple bacon in the oven. I've now got, it's getting a little dry, this but it's all right.
Want this?
Yes, I will want that.
Do you want a timer for the bacon?
No, I'll keep an eye. It can't overcook the bacon. We're not too can. I mean, it could overcook, but it's not so time precise.
Okay, so Di Hedges is also saying we then share the recipe if that's okay with Maxi Bake.
Sure, I mean, Maxi doesn't mind.
And Maxi Bake says we'll type it to you in the normal comment thread.
Okay, cool. Beautiful. There we go. I love to hear of people's different variations. So I'm taking my masa. Now, this plastic I use, I've got this, I can explain maybe in a little more detail now to everybody. This is a Indian puri press. Okay, it's not actually a tortilla press because we can't get them over here and they're so expensive to get sent from the US because of the sheer weight. So I use these puri puri presses, which are a lot easier to get here in Australia. And they actually work really well. All you do is you press out your tortilla, turn it round, because there's a sort of natural wedging effect that happens when you press a tortilla under one of these presses. We're going to squeeze it out until we get a beautiful corn tortilla. So it works exactly the same as a tortilla press.
Just open more towards the edge of the counter, not quite in shot.
Not quite in shot?
That's probably better.
Okay, I'll do it this way around. And what you end up with here, it's a bit dry, Michelle. I think we've, okay, we may have problems because I think my masa, because I kept it out in the fridge, I'm going to add a little bit more moisture to it. So if you decide to store your masa, and by the way, let me do a little bit of remedial work on this. If you add water into your masa, it's tiny enough. It's literally teaspoons at a time. Otherwise, you end up with very wet masa. Yeah, this is super dry. Now, when this masa was fresh a couple of days ago, there was very little crumbing like this. So what I'm going to do is just rehydrate it slightly. No, I think I'll go with a tablespoon. And if you can give me a tablespoon in a small glass, so I can just work out the amounts.
Tablespoon?
In a pot or a glass, anything I can. See how dry that is? Can everyone see? Is that coming up on camera, Michelle?
Yes, it was very dry.
So obviously, what's happened, even though I wrapped it in the wrap, it's dehydrated a little bit. So I'm going to put a tablespoon and a half in there, and I'm just going to pull this dough, this fresh masa together till I start to feel a little bit smoother and not quite so much crumminess in there. So maybe a tiny bit more, maybe about a teaspoon at the bottom, just to drag this in. Now, when I made these, the day we made this masa, they were so good. So I know how well this cooks, but I can feel under my hand just how different the masa dough feels. It's got a lot more crumbly. I'm not an expert on using masa, so I'm guessing it's perfectly okay to keep 2 or 3 days, as long as you keep it chilled in the fridge. But I can feel straight away the elasticity is coming back. You don't have gluten in this, but you do have this sort of elasticity. And this is not masa flour. This is fresh nixtamalized masa. So I'm going to try again. I'm going to just pop that to the side. I want to take a piece of masa about the size of a ping pong ball, table tennis ball, whatever you like to call them. I've got my puri press. You will probably, if you're in the US, be able to very easily get hold of a tortilla press. They're usually more of a cast iron construction. I'm going to put my little ball of masa in the center, pop that down. Now I'm doing this again all to camera, so it's a little bit tricky. I'm going to do 1 or 2 just to show you. Still crumbing off a little bit there. I'm not too worried if my edges get a bit raggy. Sorry, raggy. I know you might have heard his name mentioned. And is it not hot? And that is what I'm looking for. But because we haven't put our pan on, I'm not going to use it. Because I want my pan to be scalding hot, really. I want the pan to already have not just heated up. This is a bit like pancake making, you know, when the first two or three pancakes never come out well. It's often because the pan isn't hot enough. So I'm going to reshape this one, but I'm going to leave it under wraps. So I'm just going to shape it out. Nice, beautiful tortilla. You've seen me make them many times on the channel. I'm pretty sure I've made them quite a few times. It's got that wonderful buttery flavor you only really get fresh masa. What's that, Jill?
I'm just tweeting tortillas are being made.
Good old Michelle. It's just the two of us, you know. No team. I had this thing today come up on the channels, you know, begging me to set up this sponsorship thing that YouTube are doing again now, and it's endless. You know, it's endless. They're constantly changing. I mean, it's funny with. I don't often talk about it, but it's funny with YouTube. You know, we started it as a bit of a hobby for a bit of fun. We do it kind of full time now, but it doesn't. I wouldn't encourage it unless you've got time to waste and you're very patient, because certainly you're not going to make a great living out of this sort of thing. And they've got this new sponsorship thing, which they're trying to push us all to do. And I'm not going to jump on board with it. We've got the Patreon. You know, we have a few people that support us on Patreon. That's always great. And actually, Patreon for us is a lot better anyway. Effectively, if you donate something on Patreon to the channel for what we do, not for what we will do, that goes to us less. They take 5%, which is quite nice. So it means if you donate something to a channel, it's goes to them. So if you know, a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever, goes to them. But the YouTube thing, as usual, the YouTube are taking a big cut, and there's going to be a lot of controversy about it again. Everyone's going to be grumbling and moaning, and sometimes I just want to stay out of the firing lines of these things. Okay, so Maxi Bake is typing the Cajun spice recipe in Steve's lemon elderflower cake video for comment thread right now. All right, beautiful. And Waterbell says, Steve, I make a sweet chipotle sauce to dip chicken in. I bet you come up with a good sauce using chipotle. Oh, yes. And Dax Hammond said, hey, Steve, can't sleep. Me or you, Dax? I don't think he can sleep. Dexy, how are you? Time is it there, Dax? And Gatti Ramona says, can you rework this dough without it becoming tougher like scones? Which dough? This masa, the masa dough? Yeah. You can work it and work it and work it. There's no gluten in it, so it never gets tough. I've yet to come across any problems with masa dough, other than it's beautiful. I took a bit of a risk today doing this with 2 or 3 day old masa, because I've never used masa other than, you know, pretty straight after we've used it and made it. The DAX says just after midnight. Okay. And Waterbell says, I wonder if my spice stage delivers to your part of the world. They have excellent spices. I don't know. Where are they based? It's going to be good. Oh, it's just there, look. Okay. So what we're doing now is we are just... Do you want to give you a plate? Oh, I'll find a plate. Don't worry, Michelle. Mm-hmm. We are just sealing both sides. I've shown this on the video, so maybe I won't explain to you exactly, but I'm cooking these tortillas. I don't want to over dark. So one side, 2 sides. We're on the second side now. Both sides of the tortilla have a dry skin on them, so there's a nice little air pocket through the center. I can push this down, as you've seen in videos that I've done before, and we get a nice. I hate that plate. Just small plate's fine. This is where you're doing things. This is where Michelle and I do sometimes disagree with each other, because at this point she's trying to help me. I don't need it. I'm happy. I'm good. I'm not telling her off. No, it's not telling me off. You're just saying. You stay over there. I am. Get out of my kitchen. I am. I'm good. If I can't get a plate out of the cupboard. So now when I push these breads down, I'm getting a nice, we're having a tiff. No, we're not. I'm joking. You don't start doing that. Getta Ramoni says, thank you for replying and all the tips, much appreciated. Doing a Scot on me.
Yeah. Silas House says, is culinary school worth it? Just wondering.
It's a step. It's a step in the right direction. I mean, certainly there are things that you'll learn at culinary school as a youngster that will help you to get you grounded about some of the physics or chemistry of cooking. There's very little that a culinary school can teach you about in life. I mean, there's no chef worth their word that doesn't think they're a much better chef 5 years after they started working than they were before they started, or 10 years after. So it's like many. In short, I'd say yes, it's worth it, but I would say only if you're doing it in conjunction with working in a kitchen. If it's just culinary school, you're better off in the kitchen because you're going to learn so much more. But there is an element of some places where they offer apprenticeships in the kitchen, they just get you washing up, which is good for character building, maybe, if they let you believe that. But in reality, it doesn't teach you much about cooking. So culinary school is good. Some of them are better than others. I never went to culinary school. I've learned everything through my life as a chef, cooking food, preparing food, teaching people. Michelle went to culinary school. We often talk about it, whether or not it would have been beneficial, but realistically, everything you learn at culinary school is kind of irrelevant to what today. It's a bit like almost any industry. We used to have people that used to come out of, a lot of times you come out of a computer engineering degree and you go to work in an industry and they know damn well that you know nothing about work. You just have a degree. And therefore, you're not valued. You're not valued as much as somebody who's already worked on 2 or 3 projects, who maybe hasn't got a computer engineering degree. Another example would be architectural degrees. I used to have a lot of friends used to come into Asia looking for jobs with all the top architects. And people like Norman Foster, a lot of the big architectural firms will employ young graduates as sort of the grunt workers to do all the horrible sort of menial works in architecture because they have no skills. They have a degree in architecture, which takes quite a long time to complete. But in reality, and if any architect disagrees with this, I challenge you. An architect just come out of, finished his degree is really just a glorified technician in many respects, and until you actually get some work, they generally don't pay you very well. So experience is better than qualifications, and qualifications without experience is less appreciated, if you know what I mean. So get and do your culinary school. Try and do it in conjunction with real life experience.
So Di Hayes said, I've just got to go and let the chickens out. I'll be back shortly.
Is it morning time? Then it must be morning.
Must be letting the chickens out.
No, they're going to come out at sun up.
And Dax says, love the new kitchen in Perth, is it?
It is, Dax, yeah. It's only temporary.
And Silas House says, thanks for answering. That was all about culinary school.
Yeah. Can you get me a damp towel to cover these tortillas?
Uh-huh.
Now, the tortillas themselves, very damp, yeah, very good. Can't be. That's a wet towel. The tortillas, I made that a little wet, that though, by the way. So you see what I mean? Just you'll see when I pull it off the papers, sometimes it's snagging and tearing. It's because it's a little bit wet. And particularly when I put it down in the pan, I let go of it. It's sticking to my hand because it's a little bit too wet. So how many of these did we say we'd do, Michelle? 9?
Yeah, 8 and 9. We go now?
Those of you that are not youngsters will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Dad says, oh, forgot to mention I love the chef's whites.
Yes, mate. Flying the flag. I'm sure there'll be the royal couple will be on their trip down to the southern hemisphere within the sort of first 2 or 3 years. I don't know if they've got what they've got planned. They've probably already announced it, have they? Where are they going on their honeymoons? They often head down to Australia and New Zealand soon afterwards.
That says very sharp.
So this is good television, isn't it? Back of my head, cooking tortillas. I'm going to. I want to actually just check. I've got to cut these tortillas. Can you see? Let me just hold them up. Just how lovely and supple they are, but they're a little messier than I'd expected because of the stickiness. Not to worry.
Okay.
This is where the plans of mice and men, because what I'm going to be doing is cutting them with my cutter into perfect little circles like that. And if I can get 2 out of 1 tortilla, I don't have to cook so many. So I'll send them over to Michelle for cutting because I'm doing cooking. Eight or 9, Michelle?
Well, 9 will do it that way. If I do 1 out of this one because it's in here.
Yeah.
So you'll still need to cook 2 more.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do the flour tortillas, the masa tortillas, a little less cooked than I would normally do them. But because I'm chatting with you guys, I'm probably overdoing it. So how many rounds have I got there, Michelle?
This is 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1 more to cook.
So we're done. It's really hot today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it just me?
No.
So can somebody tell me, although Michelle can't read it for me, so can somebody tell me how long you've been watching or how long this has been going? Because we had how much was the first session?
Over 3 hours.
3 hours?
You got that wet towel, as easy drying a bit.
Yes. Keep it nice. Fold it to 4-fold and pop it on top of them. Keep it nice and damp. This one's quite nice and soft. Is that a tortilla ball?
Yeah.
I wondered where that had gone. It's over there on the tray with Michelle. Read some comments because I think there might be people asking stuff. That one's gone to pot. Made it too wet, ladies and gentlemen.
This one's going to be a bit of a crappy one, I think. So, did you sell your other house with the big kitchen, or are you still away from home travelling?
We're still away from home travelling. That kitchen's almost 3 years ago. That's the original Steve's kitchen. So we've been travelling with the kitchens you've been seeing us in over the last 3 years have been all over the world, from Sicily to Malaysia, Thailand, Mexico, Vietnam.
So Kevin Smith's been watching about an hour now. Watergirl's been watching from the jam. Beverly N said, I think it's coming on to 5 or 6 hours. I went for a few minutes and I missed you rolling out the tortillas. And Watergirl's been watching for years.
Now this one was too sticky all over. I think I ruined it all together.
I think we've gone about 8 or 9. All right.
What are we up
1, 2,
to?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect.
I'm going to do this last one.
Okay. Don't want these bits, do we?
I could do a little bit extra carbohydrates in my diet right now. Tortillas are normally so much easier to do once you've got the masa flour just perfect, because they just roll off your hand. But because I've made this, I added that extra bit of water you saw me, that little tiny bit, that teaspoon that I put in last. We've got enough there, Michelle, we're all right. Keep my baker's part for later.
Get Ramona says, been watching maybe a few hours from the big end of the jam. One very interesting view. Di
Really?
Hedger says, I'm back 10C in the garden here in Buckinghamshire, England. 21 months. I started from the end of the cottage cream. How have you been for a long time?
Beautiful.
And Dad says, the secret kitchen with glass covers was gorgeous. Need me a tortilla press.
Which kitchen?
I think I mean the original one wasn't with glass cupboards.
No, there have been with glass cupboards. We had, no, not that house. We've had glass cupboards. You may be talking, God, we must have been in 30 kitchens over the last 2 years. So you may be talking about a different kitchen. Dax, which one are you talking about?
Back in there?
Yeah, back in the fridge, and then just separate out those butcher's papers and pop them somewhere. The rest can go.
Yeah. Nothing cooking in the pan, and your bacon's all right.
My bacon is crisping up beautifully. It is probably about 3 minutes away from ready. It's all bubbling now. It's getting really dark, which I want, because when I take it out, I'm going to let it. I'm going to let it set, and then we're going to be crumbing it to really use as a garnish. So, can you imagine? If it works, I've suddenly got this horrible feeling if these tortillas, because the only really unknown quantity in this recipe is the tortillas. Everything else I know will cook perfectly well, but the tortillas, this is something we've never baked before.
We made up the tortillas.
Yeah, we've made the tortillas before, but there's two unknown factors here. Firstly, I've done it fresh masa many times, but 3-day-old masa. And that doesn't say, and it just sounds like it's not fresh, but it's actually fresh. Not worked with that before. And thirdly, I've never done this cooking method I'm about to show you. And I'm sort of like a little skeptical about whether or not it's going to work. So let me show you. Ready?
In the pan.
No, you cannot.
I'm going to.
I'm always finish what I'm doing. She mollycoddles me, you know. Michelle and I have been together on and off since we were babies. And because when you're together a long time, you tend to sort of preempt what each other are doing. So when I lean over to get the tortillas, she goes and she gets them for me. It's sweet. So this is my misto, still working, still doing all right. Not brilliant. I wouldn't say actually the spray pattern that comes out of this is as nice as I had hoped. But I'm going to spray my tortillas. Okay, let's bring you down. I hope these were cooked long enough, Michelle. Just check the camera angle for me, Michelle, see if it's going to show. So, spray a little bit. Now, we were going to go that way, so I'll go both ways. Put a little bit on the back of a muffin tin. Yes. And then I'm actually going to go for the 8 design, Michelle.
Okay.
So I'm going to put my tortillas oil side down between the muffin tins like that. So you see what I'm doing? Creating what looks like a miniature taco. And you know what? To be honest, I've never seen this done, so I don't know if it works. But common sense tells me it will. Can everyone see all right?
Switch on. Okay. So Lady G says, I've been here from the beginning of your live streaming early this morning.
Wow, Lady G. Beautiful, thank you.
And
You're super patient.
and from London. So, and that says the shiny sepia cupboards.
Oh, now that was the first one, Dax. I don't miss that at all. That kitchen for me was a nightmare. The light reflection on it was so strong that any form of lighting we used to try and light the kitchen bounced straight back at me. And at the time, I never realized how much it was an irritant until I started getting better lighting and working on things. Because now I try to work in kitchens that have as least reflective surfaces as possible. It's best. It's crazy, isn't it? How what we do in a kitchen and what you need to do in a kitchen are quite different. So,
Carrie Hedge said, what is the bacon going to be a garnish for?
who said that?
Carrie Hedge.
Carly.
Kari.
Kari, it's going to be for these tacos. I'm going to bake these now in the oven. I'm going to take my bacon out. Forgot about this tortilla. It's crisping up in the background.
And then Watergirl says, how clever. Di Hedges says, great trick idea. Dax Howman says, absolutely clever.
Well, it could be clever. We've never tried it before.
I reckon about 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes.
I think we take the temperature up quite high, do you?
About 190, 200.
Come on, people.
Help us out here. Lady G says, you're very welcome, Steve. You're a brilliant cook. And Dax says, it looked good on cam, but I understand your point of view.
Yeah, it was a lovely kitchen. We enjoyed it for many years. 2 or 3 years we used that kitchen.
Just wasn't quite so shiny.
But when we made that decision to go traveling, I never really, yeah.
10?
Yeah.
Hey Google, give me 10 minutes.
Mm.
Sure, 10 minutes.
Fresh mashed tortillas.
Now, somebody's asking here, Di Hedges says, is mashed flour widely available?
No. But where's Di?
Can't remember.
Di, where are you? I'm just getting the oil off my hands, everyone.
So we have to tidy up again.
There is a brand.
England.
Di, you're not. That's not Di. Is that Diane or is that Di the Welsh Di? We keep saying, assuming it's a lady, but of course Di is also a Welsh man's name. But Di is a common shortening of Diane, Diana. So Di, masa is not super common, but you can get it in the UK. I know there's a brand called Casa, I think, or Casa Masaka.
Something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can Google it. I would think you'd find it in places like Waitrose and that. It's a Mexican flour, but I am actually going to show you in upcoming shows how to make masa. But it is a little bit lengthy and complicated, I suppose, in some respects. So maybe a lot of you won't want to do it on a regular basis. I would. I think masa is that good.
Amazon, maybe.
Amazon, yeah.
I think about the UK, but probably.
Have
Can't get things here, can I?
a look on Amazon and see if you can see if there's that name. Just see if that name. I forget the name. Maybe someone else has already written it in there.
Okay, so Maxi Bake says Tesco's doing masa in their world aisle section.
Okay.
And she says, no, I'm female. My name is Diane. Prefer Di.
Yes. All right, Di. I just suddenly had a thought, Di, that, because I've got a friend in Wales called Di, who's Di Jones. strangely enough. And it's a chap. But did he spell it the same way? I can't remember. Nye is just sudden flicker when you said in England. I thought, oh, well, England's quite close to Wales.
7.99.
What's the brand, Michelle?
Masseca. M-A-S-E-C-A.
Masseca.
Yeah.
Did we buy Masseca the other day from that Mexican store?
I don't think we did in the end because we had enough and we were going to make our own.
So you can buy it. Michelle will put a little link if you want to get it, but also Maxie says you can get it in Tesco's. So you can get it in Tesco's. You can probably get it in most supermarkets in the foreign isle. It basically is a form of it is not corn flour or cornstarch, as Americans call it cornstarch. We call it corn flour, which confuses people with the flour, corn flour, and the color. It's actually a special form of corn flour that's made directly from crushed corn that's been nixtamalized, which means basically it's been steeped in a very high alkaline content. And I'm going to be doing a fairly in-depth video. Actually, I did a talk about this the other day, and we were trying to work out how I was going to present this to you guys, and I think I talked for about 5 minutes on it without stopping. So I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but it is very, very, very much different to corn flour or cornstarch. In the UK, I think you call it corn flour.
So the guy says, born and bred in Aylesbury
Ducks.
Fucking England.
Beautiful part of the world, eh? Aylesbury Ducks, lovely ducks. Aylesbury ducks are those traditional sort of white, downy sort of ducks they often used to use for duck down and the things. Very, very beautiful. Not like the Indian runners. They don't sit up as tall as Indian runners. Michelle and I used to keep ducks. Our ducks weren't Aylesbury, but we had a similar sort of breed to the Aylesbury ducks, and we also had the Barbary ducks, or which I think are a South American descent. They're about all ducks. Am I going to get boring about ducks? All ducks come from one genetic source, apart from. So they all come from the same genetic family, apart from the Barbary or the South American. I think comes from South America. And you'll often see the ducks with a very sort of like gnarly nose. They've got like a sort of marking on their nose, and that's the Barbary ducks, or what we call in France a savage duck, wild duck. And they actually are not genetically, I think, connected with the what is that duck that's common in the ponds in Europe? The lady is quite brown and mottled, and the guy is the male duck is sort of greens and reds and plumage. Anyway, I believe, from what I understand, that all ducks are related to that particular type of duck, and that's every brand, every breed of duck, apart from the Barbary duck, which is actually the only duck also that roosts up in trees. So these ducks are unusual, that they fly and they roost and sleep at night up in trees. Mallard ducks. So all ducks have some genetic connection with the mallard. Back in time, they have a genetic connection. Barbary ducks do not. They have no genetic connection, and they actually roost in trees. Go on.
Everyone's saying mallard. I'm on Google.
Yeah. Je suis malade. Mallard is also French for sick, a little bit under the weather. Let's have a look at these. I've got to keep an eye on these because I don't want them to overcook. I'm hoping, the plan is that these little tacos will cook through long enough, and it's a big risk. If we don't do it, we'll probably just put them on a slice of toast or something, but I'm hoping they're going to cook long enough that they'll actually set in that shape, dry out enough and fry with the oil that I put on there. Because when you often do taco shells, they often take unprocessed flour and just fry it and shape it in deep fat frying. I partially cooked mine, and now I'm going to fry them effectively in the oven. And if we can get that beautiful little taco shape, then we can work from there. The bacon. Have a look at my bacon. Typical of supermarket bought or delicatessen bought bacon. It's shrunk down a lot, but look at the color. It's beautiful. And the reason it's shrunk down is because of the water content in the bacon. When I used to keep my own, when we used to do our own bacon many years ago, our bacon didn't shrink.
So that's the same. They should be done, just saying.
Look, can you see those? Is that coming up?
Yeah, that's good.
How crisp that is. Now I need that to cool down, because I'm actually going to sort of chop that up into little fine crumbs so that we can use. I might keep one piece for sampling, of course. 2 pieces, maybe.
I was going to say, who reckons that Stephen won't try a piece? You've gone before me. So I think that's the same with tortillas, might be done.
Well, they're getting there. You're not far wrong. They're getting there. They're firming out. If I pull it out now, it's staying in its shape. I just want that center, just in the fold where it is there. I just want that to cook through as well. Otherwise, that's the spine of the taco. If it's not not cooked, it's gonna collapse open when I take it off.
So Lady G says, yummy, after the bacon. And Dax says, my halal butcher recently stocked beef bacon. Is it any good?
No. It's horrible, to be frank. Beef bacon, chicken bacon. No, it's not bacon. Really, it's not bacon. If you think of beef bacon more like a pastrami, it's got some merits. But the problem is when you put the word bacon on it, you have certain expectations, and it never meets those expectations. Many countries we've traveled to have fairly strong Muslim influences. They quite often won't serve bacon, even if it's in an international hotel. They quite often, so they'll often try to give you beef bacon or chicken bacon. Never that good.
Hey Google, stop. That's 10 minutes. The little boys. So
they smell delicious. What I want them to do is let them cool a little bit in the U shape. I'll bring it over so it can explain to you. So you see, what I was hoping is exactly like this. They keep their shape. A little bit crisp, can you see? But I want them to cool. Oh, it's getting a little hot. I want them to cool over there because I want them to be real crisp, like a shell taco, like the ones you buy. Those tacos, by the way, are not really. You don't see them in Mexico very often. They're very much a westernized style food. We got anything else going in the oven?
They fill those scones. So Di said, just out of interest, what time is it there? 3:34 in the afternoon.
3:34, and we started at a little around 10 o'clock this morning, so 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 5.5 hours. But that was the plan, you know. We were going to see if we could just do this. How many views do we keep the viewers quite low, having on this constant?
I don't know. It's 14 at the moment. Hit the thumbs up. We only got 17 thumbs up.
Oh, hit the thumbs up! Everybody, so just
2:34 a.m. here. That's Water Girl.
So this is kind of exclusive, you know. There's 14 people viewing. Yeah. It's a very special exclusive just for you. And I know, and I know in a great deal of my viewers are in the USA, so they're sound asleep, most of them, which is all good. Raggy's going to be up till 3, he said, didn't he?
Yeah.
Raggy's burning the candle at both ends.
Partying, he says. So I need to probably wash up the new bowls to do the fillings next.
What are we doing next?
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
So
now it sounds boring, but actually these are rather lovely sandwiches.
I've been waiting for these.
This is what we should have done in the first place. But you know, with sandwiches, you don't want dry and curly sandwiches. You want delicious, light sandwiches. Let me just get the bread from over here. I'm trying to think what I've done with my big board.
It's here, under the bacon.
Okay.
Let's just have a little sort out. It's pretty clear, you're working.
So I've got sandwich bread with the crust on, deliberately so, because when I make my sandwiches, I'm going to leave the crust on, and I'm going to trim them up just before we serve them, so they keep fresh. So I got them to cut them on these bases to a fairly thin. Let me just show you. Perfectly square, fairly thin slices.
What you call sandwich slice.
Sandwich slice, we call them, yeah. And we're going to again try to keep that quintessential English theme going on. So I've got some cream cheese and some chives. I need my knife. Where do we keep our herbs in the end?
They're over here with me.
And I've also got some dill. Now I've got some fresh dill. Not the best dill, but it's all we could get. I'm just going to dice up these chives. I'm just going to take a little group of them out here. Underneath all this stuff somewhere is my chef knife. Yes, it's just underneath the raspberry syrup. So we're just going to dice up chives fairly small. Fairly fine slices. Chives are going to actually impart a little bit of flavour with some black pepper into my cream cheese. So are you all still with me? Wouldn't it be nice if we could put a little bit of background music on?
You could sing.
Sing. I'm probably so pitch perfect that I get a copyright strike. No, I don't think so. So I've got some nice soft cream cheese. Now I'm going to be honest, it is actually just a supermarket brand cream cheese. I couldn't get the softer cream cheese that I was looking for, and I don't find Philadelphia works that well. I also find it's quite a bland flavour, the Philly we get here, so I'm not going with Philadelphia. I'm going with a cheese that I know to be really quite soft, you know, really quite buttery. Let's bring the camera down here. Can you see in the bowl while I lick my fingers? So we've got our cream cheese, we've got our chives. Whoops, there's one that didn't get sliced. In the bowl. Think of this as, I've got to be careful, just sharpen that knife. I'm going to cut myself. Think of this as more of a sort of a butter, I guess. Some black pepper. Now, what would have been quite nice is a little bit of red black pepper, if you know what I mean. And I'm just going to mix this cream cheese up. This is my spread, my butter. A little bit of fleur de sel, which is very fine salt from France. This particular one is actually from France. It's a beautiful salt, quite subtle in flavour. So that's seasoning our cream cheese, and you should taste it and decide, does it need anything extra? It needs a little more salt. I want it to have flavour so it stands on its own, you know. It shouldn't be overly salty, but it should stand by itself as a product. Because when you get a little bit on your finger and you lick your finger, if it just tastes like bland, then it is going to be bland.
So Di Hedges said we're the VIPs, the video interested people. And Jack says bacon butties for royalty, just trying to keep up.
Now these are not bacon butties. So I've got my cream cheese now. What I'm going to do is spread this on white bread. Tell me if it's in shot, Michelle, on the camera. So we got white bread. Boring, 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 plain white bread. But trust me, this is very delicious bread. And we're going to turn this into the perfect accompaniment to our cream tea for this afternoon, this evening for us, by the time I get this finished. I would have liked this ready for afternoon tea, which would have been sort of like 3:30, 4 o'clock. So I've got one. Now we don't want to be, you know, you might be tempted to take this up a little bit thick. You don't want to. You don't want to be taking it too thick because there is a daintiness that we're looking for. You know, imagine you're serving this in, you know, in a 5-star hotel. It's kind of the baker's spent all night baking you some beautiful white loaves. The gardener has been out there growing the most beautiful cucumbers, and then you go and sort of turn it into some sort of bun fest by smearing Philadelphia all over it. Now you could actually just use a herb butter for this as well. It would work. I don't mean carpentry when I say would work. You could use a herb butter.
Di says afternoon tea is good any time.
Afternoon tea is good unless it, no, it is good any time. I was going to say unless it's in the morning, which would then not be afternoon tea. But
Lady G said, I'd love to be there for afternoon tea with all those delicious goodies you've cooked up, sir.
Yum, yum. I would love to have some of you here to help us eat it, because we can't eat all this. Cucumber. A remarkable vanishing cucumber.
It's been there somewhere, I'll look.
How do you lose a whole cucumber in the fridge?
Under the carrots.
So under the carrots. Those pesky dogs. Supermarket cucumber. I know all of you in those beautiful areas are going to get. I think this is called an English cucumber, isn't it? In some places. Or is that only in Italy? I'll be with you.
That's a continental cucumber, according to that one.
Right. Is it about?
No, you can see. What are you doing?
You see me biting the lid off the cucumber.
Saying dry to me.
Oh, it's getting to that part of the day though. Now, I am going to slice cucumber. I want the green on, all right? And we're only slicing it nice and thin, okay? Beautiful and thin. And we're going to lay it across our... Now, imagine how you're going to serve this. You're going to actually slice it into fingers.
Come down.
Yeah, come down. So we don't want the cucumber to be too thick. So let's just, that's why I made sure my knife was sharp today, because it's been badly abused over the last 6 months as far as traveling and use is concerned. Started to lose its edge.
So we'll have a little chat about cream cheese, because Watergirl makes her own, and I was asking how she made it. We got our own too. And then she makes it the same with found it yogurt and strainer to the desired consistency.
That's the way we used to make our cream cheese for the kids all the time.
Absolutely.
Watergirl, was it?
She makes it that way, and Di wanted to know.
Yeah, you can do it that way. It does make a very simple and interesting and very delicious cream cheese.
And Dak says Steve has a friend, Gavin Webber, who makes cheese. Cream cheese might be one of his faves.
Yes, Gavin does. I think the one thing with cream cheese, if you've time to make it yourself, and there is actually a couple of different ways of making it. Gavin has, I think, got a. Dax, has Gavin done cream cheese? I'm not 100% sure. But he is the man to go to for your cheese requirements. Michelle and I used to do a lot of this sort of home produce stuff when the children were younger and we were living pretty self-sufficiently. So I'm nearly there.
Captain Derp says, hello, it's early 2:47 a.m. in Texas.
Going a little bit thick there, starting to lose my... The cucumber sandwiches want to be super thin, well seasoned, good tasting bread. So now what I'm going to do is just pop a lid on these. That is it. We're not doing anything more. We're leaving the crusts on because I'm not going to serve these straight away. And later on, we're going to trim these up, dispense with the crust, which the children will love. What I would suggest, once you've made a little parcel like that of your sandwiches for the event, whatever it might be, you then take some aluminium foil. Aluminium foil. I said that to my American friends, even though they're probably all asleep. So we're going to take some aluminium foil, pop the sandwiches on there, and we're going to wrap them nice and tightly, keep them fresh. Never was good at wrapping presents. To keep them fresh until right before we're ready to serve. Oh, I ache. So the next thing we're going to be doing is a slightly different variation of the cream cheese. We're going to be doing it with salmon, okay? And I'm actually going to be using a wholemeal bread. So, and we're putting dill. Oops, I've got a plate with a chip in there. Don't let my mother see. So this time, I've got some dill. Dill is a wonderful flavour. I love dill with salmon, smoked salmon. So we're just going to.
I said, get Michelle to give you a shoulder massage.
What are you laughing at? So I want my dill to be fairly small.
Well, Lady Hugh says I absolutely love smoked salmon, and Mona says tin foil not to cling, Steve.
both work, really, both work. I've got I've got a lot more aluminium foil, tin foil at the moment than I have cling foil. But I also find with cling film, it quite often keeps its shape a little bit better. When you've got something that you want not to be puckered and crushed, you know. This dill came from a local grocer. It's a little bit over. It's a little bit over its best, to be honest. Let's have a little try of that. Oh no, flavour's still there.
So Jack says, "Dan, salmon sandwiches must be a royal wedding."
Cucumber sandwiches.
Yes, quintessential English cucumber sandwiches.
So now we've got some dill. Again, I'm going with black pepper. A little more black pepper, only because I can. I think black pepper goes well with smoked salmon. You hear that? She's starting to boss me around now. Now, out of the two of us, Michelle makes much better sandwiches than I do. So I can listen to her. Come down here. Got a little bowl with a chip in it. That's how my mother. She's always been a little bit tetchy about any bowls with chips in. So again, you know, ideally you should make this an hour or so before and let the dill infuse into the cream cheese.
It might have infused by the time we get down to serving it.
But it would infuse better throughout the cream cheese if it was given, you know, time to actually soak in there. So now we've got 6 slices. I'll get Michelle to grab them for me. 6 slices of a beautiful wholemeal. Is it, Michelle? Wholemeal, whole grain? No, the bread first. Michelle's going to check the name. Right. Now, let's be honest. This one I don't like, Michelle. It's a little bit out of square. I'm not a big fan of brown bread. You all know why I'm saying that. Everybody knows. But I can go with brown bread with salmon, and I can go with the brown bread with a decent amount. But I am actually going to go a little thicker, because I find whole grain breads in general, unless you go with a beautiful fresh rye bread, which we just haven't got time to bake today, tend to be a little bit dry on the mouth. So I'm going to overcompensate by going a little thicker with my cream cheese. The salmon can take it, so that's all right.
So Watergirl said that looks good, Steve. And Sassons de la VCP says bonjour.
Bonjour, ça va?
And Getting Mona said, would wasabi work in the cream cheese for the salmon sandwiches too? Just had sushi, so thought of it.
Yes, it would. It wouldn't be probably something I'd use at the royal wedding, because I'm trying to keep within sort of the constraints of an English afternoon tea, but I'd go for it. It's a little bit, probably if you were doing it. No, I wouldn't put it. I was just about to say, if you were going to do it, maybe a horseradish, which is very, very similar to wasabi.
So, Dak says Steve takes directions from Michelle for sandwiches. She knows, but wasabi would be quite nice.
Yes, it would be. I would go horseradish, because horseradish is a far more traditionally British seasoning, and it is salmon.
And Di said, I don't know why you don't like brown bread.
I like brown bread, but I like only some brown bread. I tell you why I said that, because as soon as I put my hands on this brown bread, because we had to buy it last night, we wouldn't have time this morning to go to the baker's and get any, so we had to buy it last night. You know how brown bread, it can be unpalatable after a very short time, a bit dry, you know, unless of course it's like a beautiful rye bread or pumpernickel, something with lots of flavour. I go for a pumpernickel bread over a white bread almost any day of the week. But just plain wholemeal bread, it's not one of my favourites.
Ça sent sur la VCP, c'est oui, ça va, merci.
Ça va bien.
And that is on my hand, ça sent sur la VCP, c'est merci beaucoup. You want the camera down?
No, I'm getting a bit of a pickle with my oh, come on then. Look.
Come and see this pickle.
My salmon is super thick. I mean, it is super thick, which is nice. You know, I'm trying to keep it away from the crust a little bit because I'm going to trim those crusts off and I don't want to waste any of the salmon. You know, it doesn't matter. I'll eat the crusts and salmon all together.
So Di says, fair enough, that's about brown bread. And Watergirl says, to me, the brown bread loses its moisture and tenderness early.
It does. And I wanted to have the contrast of a wholemeal bread with the salmon because I think they work quite well together. But at the same time, we're trying to bake a lot of things here. So we're kind of a little bit up against it. And I would say this brown bread is not the best.
And Raggy said, yo, Raggy.
Yo, Raggy, how did the session go? So we've got our smoked salmon in there. We've got our dill and seasoned cream cheese. We are going to pop these in a little stack, and they are hermetically sealed by the crusts either side of them. And this time, to be politically correct, so that I have no real preferences, and because this bread can take it, it's a little firmer, I'm going to wrap it in plastic wrap.
Watergirl said, yes, the cream will make the sandwich moist, though it's a good combo.
That's what I'm hoping for. So there we go. They're going away on the side. Whew.
Another tick.
Oh, I'm pooped.
You're pooped and finished yet? You've got to make scones because there's cottage cream and you've got to finish your eclairs and then you're getting there. The next one is fill eclairs and finish. So it's wrapping up now.
Shall we have...
Do you not butter the top layer of the bread? No,
I'd never. I don't like the combination of cream cheese and butter together. It's sort of like fat on fat. It seems a little bit pointless. And I think because we've introduced a lot of flavour into the cream cheese, it's good enough to stand on its own. I've got to sit down.
Yeah, so Lady G says sit down for 5 minutes. That says double layer salmon. Wow.
That, you see how thick that salmon was? It wasn't particularly dainty. Was that John West or? No. That's a salmon brand. I just had to get whatever I could from the shops. It's a nice salmon, expensive as salmon always is, but ocean blue. It's they cut it about as thick as you could possibly want to, which is nice. I mean, don't want to be skimpy on the salmon. I'm happy to have lots of it, but although it was a 300 grams of salmon, I think, or 500 grams, probably only about 4 slices in there. What's that cream cheese like?
Very nice. Watergirl said, is your jacket making you hot?
Yes.
And Dak says, drink a glass of water, mate.
Good idea.
Want to do water? No?
I am a bit exhausted, guys. Do you know what? and Raggy will know this, if you're on gigs and doing things, you've got to keep your right amount of food levels up. And because we rushed this morning, I basically, since last night, had 2 slices of lemon drizzle cake and a few snacks, and I'm probably losing energy.
Just come on. It's great. I have an outdoor festival this weekend, 2 more blues clubs and a private jazz club in Nesbitt, MS. Think Jerry Lee Lewis. Going to be busy. What I've seen here is great. Got to run.
Got to run. Hey, you get to bed, Raggy. Give me one of those salmon ones, Michelle. Give me the top of those salmon sandwiches. What we're going to do, you guys are going to ask questions and say hello. Just the top sandwich, with the whole palm. And I am going to have a salmon sandwich. And I'll see if this bread, I think I need the carbohydrates. So when we're ready, just, and we'll test the cutting because I've not used this bread before. What I'm going to do for the actual final product, I'm going to be cutting off the crusts. There's a dry edge to this bread, so I'm a salvage edge. I'm just going to cut it away. I'm not going to waste that bit of salmon. Yum, yum.
So what does Raggy play?
Raggy plays almost everything. Do you mean instrument or type of music? Because Raggy at the moment is doing a sort of blues, rock combination, I think. Country, blues. Raggy plays everything, really. Plays everything very well. So that's my shorter side. I'm probably going to take my fingers and I'm going to cut them about yay big.
Kevin Smith says, how much more is left to prepare, Steve?
Not much, Kevin. We're getting there.
So what's going to know what type does he play?
Raggy plays anything, really. I mean, Raggy is just a great musician. He plays stuff from the 60s, the 50s, the 30s. That's not bad.
No.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, Sydney Show says, hello, Steve.
Hey, Sydney Show. I'm waning. 6 hours.
I'll be fine once you get that in you.
You guys talk.
Pom Sorry says, bonjour, Steve. Thank you for waking up.
Bonjour, ça va?
It's all quiet.
These are nice. You know, if you were in a really nice hotel in London, New York, Sydney, these are the sort of sandwiches they would serve in an afternoon tea. I'd say the bread quality would be a little better because I can tell that this is a local baker bread, not super high quality. So the flours are not the sort of flours I would like to use in the bread and the quality. But man, it's good. And you can't go wrong really with well-seasoned cream cheese, dill.
Watergirl said, tried to give it a depth of flavour, but it's the dill in it.
And this one's got dill in it, Watergirl.
And Di says there's a marathon celebration of afternoon tea.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're getting there. The next thing I'm going to be doing is doing our scones, which technically is the easiest thing to do, but I'm pretty pooped. Michelle, do you want to measure out the ingredients for scones for me? Now, we're going to do a scone slightly differently. I'll explain to you what we're using. We're using, we're not using self-raising flour, are we? We're going to be using regular flour with a little bit of leavening agent in it.
Yes. Sorry, I'm reading and Dax has said scones with a question mark.
Yeah. Scones are super easy to make. You can actually kind of make them in...
Now, just interrupting, we've got 500 grams. Do we want to be doing as much as that?
No,
so
not
we can
really.
halve it because it's 2 eggs and we can halve it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we'll go... What about for cutting though? They're going to be... I don't want the dough to be too small, Michelle. No, we go 500 grams.
Okay, 500 grams.
The problem is if we halve that ingredient. So I would suggest you, if you're going to make scones, if you make nothing else out of this session today, and you just make the scones, which are super easy to make, you go for the first full pound of flour, 500 grams, 450 grams, because they keep well. And if you make too small a batch of scones, you end up with a really small amount of pastry. It's hard to cut them. What are you looking for?
Some bowls to put stuff into.
No, just put it straight in, all straight in.
Yeah, but that's very heavy, that bowl on that thing.
It works.
Okay.
What we find that we've got the big earthenware bowl. If you put it onto the scales, it's quite heavy to start off with. Sometimes it does. Some scales don't work. That set of scales does work.
So you want all the stuff in, the dry stuff in?
Yes. Are we rubbing the butter and sugar and flour?
Put your flour, your baking powder, your salt, and your sugar in here. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to sit back, let Michelle do the mixing. So she can work out the calculations. We are going to add egg into this particular version of our scones, mainly because I was looking at a recipe to try and mimic the very slick style of I've got a little dog that wants something.
You can smell the salmon.
You can smell the salmon, but he's only going to get carrot. So it's not near his feeding time. No.
No.
Am I in shot?
Yes.
Grow chives in your garden. If you've got a little bit of space, grow chives. Pay $2 for those chives. And we've only used about 4 stalks of them. And I'll have to think now of something. You can actually, what a good thing to do is to chop your chives up and freeze them. You can actually add them. Another quite good thing is to add them into water and freeze them as ice blocks. That way you can drop them into things. But generally I'm using chives as a garnish. So rather than as a flavouring. So I'd be ashamed to waste them. So scones.
That's your flour and your baking powder.
I'll do the butter.
I know you will. Salt.
I'm back up on my feet for you guys.
And sugar.
But I have to say, it's waning again. Now look, there's the little taco shells. They're nice and crisp. They're perfectly formed. I'm going to take them off of there now. I don't want them to get down. And we are going to, later on, we're going to put our pieces of southern fried chicken into here. We're going to cover them with a little bit of homemade mayonnaise, and we're going to crumble over some of our smoky maple bacon. So it does look like a lot of flour for our scones, and it is. But what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to cut out how many scones I want. I'm going to put the rest of this dough. Let me explain to you why I've said we'll go for the whole lot. I'm going to cut out what we want, and I'm going to put the rest of the dough away in the fridge. I'm going to chill it down, just wrap it up nice and tight, and we can make scones at a later date. But I want probably about 8 scones that are really, really nice. How much?
80 grams. You got a knife?
We are running out of space, ideas, thoughts. This is going to look nice on the plate a little bit later on, ladies and gentlemen.
corner and do that. So Amy Sarn says, hi, I just come back from work.
Hi, Amy. Were you in earlier, Amy?
I think so. Regular 80.
So all you're doing when you're making a it's a bit like an American biscuit in a way, except for it's slightly sweet. We're not going to put raisins in this one. You can actually put raisins in if you like them. I'd advise you do put raisins in. I think they work quite nice. I also do them with sometimes with white chocolate and raisins. That is delicious. But I'm looking for a really simple traditional scone this time round. So 80 grams of butter, 500 grams, that's about just over a pound of flour.
75 ounces.
How much of the caster sugar, superfine sugar, do we put in?
90 grams, 3 ounces.
90 grams, 3 ounces. Now what I'm going to do, again, you saw me doing this earlier in the show, we're just going to get in there with our hands. I'm going to start cutting. I probably would have cut that butter a little smaller, but sorry. Oh yeah, I'll just cut these up a little bit. I'm just going to break them into little lumps because it will make my life a little easier. Now we're going to add some buttermilk in with this today, and buttermilk's not necessarily tradition for English scones, but yeah, got a lovely Western Australia, so we have got really nice ingredients for this. We've got Western Australia Brown's buttermilk. So I'm just rubbing this together with my hands until we get a crumb. This is a very dry pastry, expect it to be. What's our buttermilk quantity on the ingredients, Michelle?
150 grams.
150 grams.
Yeah.
Now we'll put all the ounce measurements on the description at a later time, so you can check them out. Try and get them all up there before the weekend, I think, if we can.
Yes, that might not be today, but I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, because we've had a long day today. Now getting the flour from the bottom, have we put our raising agent in here?
Yes, baking powder.
How much baking powder, Michelle?
30 grams.
30 grams, so quite a bit. You can make this with self-raising flour. In the UK, they quite often use self-raising flour. So you can see now I've got this beautiful, almost like a breadcrumb consistency. Just going to rinse my hands off.
So Di just said we need to be putting all the weights and all the ingredients out sometime later, which we've just answered.
Yeah.
Have you tried the cheese version of scones with lemonade and cream?
To be honest, scones, that's it. A little bit of milk, bring it together. It is just, I've got scones on my channel. You can make scones in your sleep almost. They're so easy to make. There isn't really a cheats version of it. It is such an easy product to make. There's no machines. You should never have to use machines at all. I'm just going to put this. This is buttermilk. We're going with a buttermilk scone. You often use buttermilk, I think, in your American biscuits. What point did we say we put the eggs in? Last or at this point as well?
I will put the eggs in first and then the buttermilk after.
Yeah, I think so as well. Because we do not use eggs normally in our scones, but I'm suspecting the reasoning that some of the big hotels use eggs is to give you a slightly firmer scone, which you could do by overworking your flour, to be honest. But also it gives it a slightly more enriched dough. So I just want to whisk these eggs together.
So Amy said, it's not your kitchen, where are you guys?
We're actually in Perth at the moment. We're having a bit of a rest here in Perth before we start on our trip around northern Australia. A lot planned this year. So in go the eggs. We just beat them up, break down the whites. In goes our buttermilk. Beautiful, rich, slightly acidic buttermilk, which will react with our baking powder, baking soda?
Baking powder.
Powder. I'm going to start to draw this together now with a fork. And we don't need to work this too much. You're going to find very quickly that the flour will start to mass together with the little bit of liquid we've got in there. And when that starts to happen, I'm going to get my hands in. Oh, come down here. You're not seeing what's going on. Sorry, everybody. So
Amy says it's freezing here in Melbourne.
That's why I left.
It's pretty nice here in Perth.
I don't always love our Melbourne winters.
Hey, put us back. Like
Morning, Leslie.
Still going. Yes, we are, Leslie.
I'm pooped though, Leslie. So I'm not going to overwork this, the scones now. I'm going to move this out onto my counter with any dry content that's on it, probably a few chives and bits of dill. I get Michelle to take that bowl off me. There's nowhere on this counter to work. It is a bit of a bummer because we actually have, even I can't put a bowl down because there's no space. So you see what we have here now is a really crumbly pastry. And we don't even need to roll this out, to be honest. We are just going to, now, I noticed that there is a bit of dill in there. I noticed that the guy at the Ritz-Carlton or something was rolling his out, and he did work it quite a bit more than us. But I like my scones to literally melt. So Ritz-Carlton or not, Claridge's,
because it is quite dry, it needs to be worked a bit. There's our tray here.
Or not. A little bit of fella doesn't want to play in place.
I think you can use our same care paper.
Yeah. I'm going to pat this down until it stops sticking to my hands. This is going to be a little different, Michelle, from what we used to, because what do we say in thickness, do you think, for their scones?
We just write that down. Hang on a minute. 3/4 of an inch, 18mm stick. I better get the other one.
Sure. All three of them. I'll use all three of them. I'm coming. Oh. Oven on, 180 degrees, 200 degrees. Are you all still with me? We're using a very small cutter. I was just asking Michelle to get it out for me because I can't barely move at the moment. My nose, I am pooped. Oh, so we're going to take the scones and we are going to cut them through and just pull them away. Now, what I'm looking for okay, what I'm looking for is a bag of flour. You know what I'm looking for, guys. I am looking for 45 minutes lay down. So I'm actually going to reform my dough. This egg has made it way too crumbly. What I mean is where there's any dryness in the structure that we normally expect in a scone, it's just cracking.
It's not crumbly. It's not such a crumbly one. It's what you want.
It's kind of what I wanted, but we should have probably used a scone batter that we're familiar with. Yeah.
I did say to work it because it's quite crumbly, so which is something we don't normally do.
Normally, we never work our scone dough because we want it to be as crumbly as possible. The guy at the Ritz, or when I was reading about it, was saying work the dough. Well, no, I don't like, it goes against the grain for me to actually work a dough for a scone. But then they're serving a scone that is more for show than it is for flavor. So, you know, whereas I think possibly our super quick scones that we're used to making, where we accept that they are going to be light and crumbly, in the hotels, they probably want something that's a little firmer, something that they can handle a little bit more. So what I'm doing down here, if you have a look, I'm working this dough a little bit more, not too much, because I still think you don't want to build up too much gluten in here.
That's better, isn't it?
It's better. It's closer to what he had. So all disclaimers here. This is not my dough, not my normal. So I am going to have to roll it.
So we're talking about the lemonade and cream scones.
What lemonade does is adds a carbonation into your scones, and it is a good, it's not a bad thing. It also adds a lot more sugar into your scones, but it adds a carbonation, which can give you a lighter scone. But if you really want a scone that's literally melts in your mouth, then you would go with just Google Steve's Kitchen Scones. There's lots of recipes that we do with my scone mixture. So do you think, Joe, they're a little thin?
Mm-hmm.
They look more like a biscuit, don't they?
Squish it in a bit. Not that one, pack the whole thing. That's because you were talking.
Right. It is, but it isn't. I wanted to roll this until it was about 3/4 of an inch thick, and I've probably gone to about 1/2 an inch thick, which is more than I wanted to. So let's take these out. They're looking okay.
Egg, don't you, for this one?
Yes. Could you just whip me up a little bit of egg in a...
Yeah.
Any glass will be fine.
Yeah, I've got it right here. That's good.
Now, the nice thing about this particular recipe is that I can actually reshape the dough, because we're not being quite so pernickety about underworking the dough, which I always say with scones, it's all about underworking the dough. The guy that was making them for the hotels was actually working the dough quite hard. So I'm going to risk following his lead. That one's a little bit small, a little bit on the thin side. That guy's just perfect. There's a whole bunch of things. Let's see how these come out. Never made my scones this way before. There's a whole bunch of things you and I are going to discover together. One of them is using an egg wash on the scones in a slightly different way than I normally would, which is a double coating. Cut that a little bit bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put that little one on as well. That'd be a nice little taster. So what we're going to do now, you want to be gentle, you want to be careful with your scones. Hang on, let me just whip that up a little more. I want to break the amalgam down. It's important that you break the egg white down. Sometimes a little bit of water will help, but I don't think we need it in this instance. But if you don't break it down, and you've got sort of large globules of white in amongst your egg, you'll find it hard to get an even coating.
That says 13 scones. Must be a baker's dozen then.
Yeah. So we're going to coat these now. Don't go down the sides. Don't be tempted. If you get your egg yolk to go down the side of your scone, it'll often split the scone because you get sort of a fissure of egg yolk running down the side, and it means they don't rise evenly. So try to not overcoat these. You watch my new pastry brush leave a hair on the scones. Maybe just my luck. I'm watching it carefully though, making sure it doesn't. So now we've coated the scones with one layer of egg wash. I'm going to let that settle just a moment.
Kevin says the hair adds texture.
It does.
Doesn't look good in a photo.
No, doesn't taste good when you bite through a scone. What's the old saying? It's stuck on, hanging on like a hair in a biscuit. So a few moments. Can you put that light on, Michelle? We're losing the light. That's how long we've been on. I'm now going to put a second coating. So that egg's just started to. We're hopefully, by doing this, we are going to get a really nice golden top on these scones. So I want them to be golden on top and reasonably light on the side. Whoops, I'll just let my egg run down the side. That one will. So after I set it as well.
It'll be the best one too.
Hey ho. Now these are also quite dainty sized scones to what Michelle and I are used to. We like a scone that you can sort of almost, make a meal in itself. And some people might say in the hotel industry these are a little bit too big because they're going for morsels rather than meals.
Is there sugar in the egg wash? Love the double coating, by the way, would work for puff pastry too. No, it's just egg, that's all. No sugar.
Now our scones are going in the oven.
15 minutes. Is that temperature?
They really, really don't take much.
15 minutes.
Don't take much cooking.
All right, 15 minutes. And that's starting now.
Beautiful. So Leslie, you're awake. Didn't sleep that long, sweetheart.
No.
One little pocket rocket. Anyway, lovely to have you back. You're probably getting up and having your breakfast, doing your bits and pieces. I'm just doing a quick tidy up. Leslie, we have made, whilst you've been away, we have made.
What have we made?
Maple fried bacon, which is garnishing on the top of these. We made fresh masa, tortilla chips, nice little taco shells, which we're going to fill with southern fried chicken. Don't know where the southern fried chicken's gone. Southern fried chicken, mayonnaise. We've done, I don't know if we've done the lemon meringue tarts. They collapsed a little bit.
They look all right.
They look all right. What else have we made?
And sandwiches.
And our sandwiches. So we're going to have a quick tidy up because we're very close to kickoff.
Yes. So shall I get some hot water to clear that side down?
Yes.
It's very. Just probably where the grill was on, isn't it?
No, leave that because if you can work on questions.
Okay.
I'll give a side of one.
So Leslie said, haven't slept at all.
Really, Leslie?
First cup of coffee.
Oh, that's not good.
Lemon tarts are where I left. Kevin says, if it's edible, it's done.
It's got to be more than edible today. It's got to be all looking pretty as well. It might not seem at the moment like it's fully there. What I'm going to do, if we've got any bowls and things left,
Not a lot.
I'm going to take my maple bacon and I'm going to find myself a knife.
Not to go to the store garden worn out.
I am worn out, but I'm all right. Come down here. So I'm going to take my maple bacon. And I'm going to just break it up to a small sort of crumb.
So what about saying maybe get some silk jackets?
So I don't get so hot.
Possibly. And Kevin Smith said, just want to look forward to that nap when it's all said and done. And Dak says, sharp knife.
It is sharp at the moment, Dax. I put an edge on it because it was starting to lose its edge. I'm actually in the process of getting some new chef knives together with a company, a really interesting company that not really a sponsor, but they have asked me to look at their knives, and I like the name. We'll talk about it later. And I like their ethos. I like the style of their company, cut of their jib, so to speak.
Di says, you've done fantastically well. I've really enjoyed following along and very much appreciate your time and sharing.
Well, thank you. I'm going to have a slice of this bacon in a moment.
Okay, you're puffing up nicely.
The sides staying nice and white, Michelle.
Yep.
Have a look at these scones when they come out. If they're as good as they should be, I should have. I'm a bit naughty really because I should have actually tested this recipe, and I rarely ever. But for me, scones are sort of like you know, toast and bread and butter. There's just no real effort in making a scone. So I thought, okay, this is a variation of a scone that we've done many times before. It shouldn't be difficult. But actually, there were a couple of unexpected areas. Certainly, the way that the egg affected the texture of the dough was different to what I was expecting. Though in reality, I should have expected it. So if you think about it, there's many things that many enriched doughs that have a similar texture to that.
So Ramona said, agree with lovely Di. You both have been champions. Very thankful for your dedication. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry if I'm coming across a little bit tired. I am a little bit tired. I didn't think it would be so hard.
Thank you.
One for me, one for Michelle.
Mm.
That's nice, isn't it?
That's nice. So we need a bowl for the cream. Whipped cream.
Mm-hmm.
And a bowl for 2 bowls for the topping. And then we're virtually there. Yeah.
Gonna whip up some cream.
Water girl said, it's okay, we understand and appreciate being with you.
I need to whip up some cream to fill the eclairs. Because that is where we're at the moment. I'm just wondering which cream to use. Maybe I've got 2 different brands here. I think I'll use what we've got.
Yeah, be good.
A little bit of the brands.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to a little bit of dry cream in there.
Big whisk, small whisk?
Big whisk, I think. Get it going a little bit quicker. This is a local, I've only ever come across this cream. It's quite nice. It's a WA local company called Brown's. They made the butter we use today as well. It's not a super, it's a whipping cream. It's not super high in its fat content, but it's not bad.
Mixmaster 300. That's what that says.
Got a pink bowl down here and down here. It isn't hard to whip cream up. You can do it with a machine, and at this time of day I probably should.
I think that's what I'm using the machine for this couple of cream and with that, it's a whisk.
So, good tip when we're whisking cream, keep everything cold. Tip I should have probably done myself instead of getting a pink bowl out of the cupboard.
How about whisking up a storm of a feast?
You know, I always see when they have these TV shows, you'll see I remember seeing something recently, I think Jamie Oliver was on the show and he said, I just whisked the cream by hand. And the way they filmed it, it looked like he'd whisked it in about 14 seconds. You know. But cream does take a little bit of work. But if you do it by hand, you can feel as it starts to thicken to the consistency you want. And hopefully, you can catch it before it turns to butter. So we're getting there. Michelle, have a feel of that. What do you think, Michelle? Get close. Just clean that side. And also, I'm letting you have a little whip. Need my piping bag. I need a nozzle. I'll finish that. Right. I'll finish that, and you just make sure I've got a nozzle. So the cream's coming up to temperature. I'm just going to get my eclairs. Just wait there 1 second. No room, no room. A little one just to make the hole, so if I could just, the very smallest one. What I'm going to do, in these pretty little eclairs I've got, I'm just going to pop a hole in both ends. So in the top of the eclair, just a little hole, and then...
That's probably the best one, I think.
Is there one a little smaller than that? They're quite tiny, the eclairs. No, I'll probably go with the one you said. So let's just finish this cream off. I want it fairly stiff. You've got to be careful it doesn't split.
So this one you're going to got with cream. There's a big one there, 2 cups of pepper to the bake. So I say absolutely massively safe. And Jack said, when did the eclair happen? Obviously before you got here,
Did you go to sleep? Now that's standing nicely. See how thick that is? It hasn't gone to butter yet, although right on the border I can, you know, you're always in danger of cream splitting.
Blue one's clean.
Jug?
Jug. Here.
Okay. That's not going to work. Would you hold this for me, Michelle? We don't normally do this on camera, but it does happen quite a bit in the background. Michelle, hold that open for me.
You want to put your nozzle in? Yeah.
Little won't fit in that scissors. So little nip off. I think I can guesstimate this. I've done them often enough. Okay. Are you all still with me? Thick cream. Tip it your way a little bit. Get a glass or a glass jar or a jug or your wife to hold that for you. Don't go putting sugar in this cream.
No.
You've already got one of nature's most wonderful, sweet whipped creams. We're then going to take our as yet unseen by Dax.
Down.
Just tilt it. Oh, I'll do it. It's going on over. We're going to take this little nozzle, and if I can get it in there, we're going to squeeze quite a bit of cream. You can feel it coming in. Oh, both ends. Really puffing these up. Look, you can see it's trying to escape from the end. I'm just going to wipe that off. Now they feel a lot heavier.
Yeah.
So if Michelle could just pop them and send them to me.
Maybe have the whole thing over here.
I just put a holding hand to me, and I'll do them one at a time.
I'm looking for the thingy.
We'll do about 10 of these, I think, Michelle. So, hey Google, stop. Google comes into our life a lot lately. So push the nozzle in, flood them with cream. See, it's coming out the other end, still popping out. Lovely heavy eclairs. Just like some. No, that one in the end like that.
No, didn't do. That's what was a mistake.
Okay. More, a little more towards the top, please.
Yeah.
This one's not a good eclair, sweetheart. Sorry, we're getting
That was a better one. That was for you to taste. I get the pretty ones.
This is a problem. I want all the fatter eclairs, the second group I did, not the ones that Dax. We did a little set of eclairs, and some of the earlier ones weren't piped as thick. You'll see if you go back and watch. Feel the cream filling in there. It's taking a lot of cream, even these little eclairs.
On my counter, and then how many you got?
Can everybody see? Well, how can you answer? Michelle's over there. I hope you can see. You can probably sort of judge by the way I'm squeezing this that there's a lot of cream going in. I'm getting those thin ones again, Michelle.
Well, that's because I'm choosing the best ones now.
We should have a show together.
See?
Not these. That was the best one that you.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah. And these scones are probably done. So just take it out.
Can you take the scones out if they're done?
I can.
So you can. This one's never going to fill. He's too thin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, he has filled. He has filled.
They look nice. Hot there, I'll put it down.
So we're just puffing fresh cream into our eclairs, mini little cream eclairs. See that squirting out the side there? Michelle's coming back over to the questions now, so she'll have a quick check if you've said anything.
Kevin said about 2 hours ago, Dax, that's when the eclairs happened. Maxi Babe, Di, I'm worn out just watching. Di says, yeah, I know, Maxi Babe, I sat here watching with my feet up. And Dax says, lovely.
Cheeky monkeys.
Maxi Babe says, me too, Di.
Look at the scones. Oh, super hot, just come out of the oven. The sides aren't as slick as I'd hoped, and I think that might be, but they're good enough. They're good enough. Don't be critical, Stephen.
Just turn that off.
So the eclairs are looking pretty. We've got to make. I might concede, Michelle, and get you to make my icing sugar mix
Okay.
for the eclairs.
Oh. So you're taking the white and then you add the 2 flavours after?
Hello, everyone.
That says
Over
nice
here.
creme anglaise.
No creme anglaise. I don't like creme anglaise in my eclairs. I want fresh cream. It's something to do with my child, but it's also, I think, the creme anglaise is too. It's creme patissier, creme anglaise. I think it's too European for a good English style eclair. Fresh cream, you know, that butter from a fresh cream, that buttery richness with the sweetness of the eclair topping. To me, it is just the perfect combination. Now, Michelle, if you could mix up enough icing so I can just split it into 2.
Yes, and then what size bowl you want in something like
this bowl to mix, that's fine.
Okay.
Once you've got it mixed, we'll do it in 2 small bowls. So Michelle is going to make a very simple icing sugar and water mixture, which is the base for our eclairs. And then I'm going to just flavour it up.
So Di said they look great, nothing wrong with wonky. Aha. And that says, my bad, it was whipped cream.
Yes, it was that. And I'm a bit of a stickler for whipped cream in eclairs. And I know there's many advocates of creme patissier. Creme patissier is super easy to make. Whipped cream, as you can see, a little bit harder.
So Sally Black says every man will be lost without his wife.
I must get one of those. What is a wife?
And there's no eggs back because we're not making a royal icing, we're just making a basic icing, water icing.
This is the sort of icing that you use time again on sugar cookies if you're coating them. It's no sugar cookies, you'd probably use an egg white.
It's not a royal icing, though. It should be the royal wedding.
The sort that you put on sticky white buns when you were kids. So we're going to make 2 batches.
But you're making up one here.
And we're super short of bowls and things. Most households have at least sort of 5, 6, 7 bowls each cereal bowl. We've got about 2 of everything, so we're running out super quickly. I have got plenty of these square bowls, not real bowls.
I just need a couple of tablespoons of water in there. Do you want to just mix and we do that?
So my eclairs now, you just come down here. I probably slightly overfill them. Well, don't worry if there's a little bit of cream that's coming out, because if you're just making these for yourselves, you can lick it off. I don't know, sweetheart.
Yeah, I find I
tablespoon.
Another solution. All right, I'll use this one. Oh.
I promise you guys, I was zonked about 2 hours ago. Now I'm just running on fresh air. What we should do, Michelle, is just take everything out to the outside table area and just clear it all away, so we've got some space. Because you want to see what we've got here. Look at this.
No, because
there's no space. There's
all in the dishwasher.
There's no space anywhere.
Right.
This is one of those kitchens. Many years ago, I used to be a bit more involved in the kitchen layout and design work. And it's one of those kitchens where
just a regular spoon, please.
You desperately want to sort of just say, where's the countertop? You know, because I've got the camera here, I've literally got about 2 foot square of kitchen. There's nothing over here because there's 2 appliances. There's nothing over to the right of me.
That's just going to bed. Good night.
Thanks.
Sleep, yeah.
Jax, good night, mate. A minute, I should be back. Stay there, be patient. Yes.
But you might need a bit more water when you add.
Got 2 icing sugar mixtures. I don't need much. One of them, I'm actually going to put it into 2 bowls. It'll just look pretty. I'm used to presentation work. Not that any of you can really see it in this sort of environment.
Leslie's got to go and try and go to sleep.
No, Leslie.
And Dr. said he's going to want to replay for the scones. And Kevin says, you never have too much of anything when the eclairs are involved.
No. I've got my raspberry flavouring here.
Maxie Bahit says, I suggest removing the cupboard door and putting it across the sink for more space. Yes, that would actually be a very good idea.
I'm going to put about half a teaspoon. They say it's really intense flavouring. I know it doesn't look like much, but I might add a little bit of pink in with this as well, Michelle. So let's just test the flavour.
Yeah.
It's funny because we've got the pink right there and it's no longer there.
Oh, I think, did we get it out?
Okie dokie. So I'm going to add a little bit of flavouring, just a splash of colour in with this, because I want a nice pink flavour, pink colour flavour. That's the colour I'm looking for. Oh wow, yes. Intense smell. No, yes, the colour. Oh. Yes, the smell. It smells like raspberry. How do you smell that?
Oh yeah.
The right, I haven't used this Queen's raspberry flavour before, but they say just half a teaspoon is as much flavour as a whole punnet of raspberries. Let me just try that. Oh yes.
Yes.
A little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit more in.
You want to taste it, right?
I want the taste, and it's already there, pretty strong.
That's the whole idea.
So we've got this wonderful...
Kevin says, I love things that taste pink.
Taste pink.
You need to do that through there. It's a bit chunky.
So we take our first eclairs, just going to dip them in there.
Oh, pretty.
How pretty is that? So one pink. You don't need much of this, you know. It's remarkable just how far it goes. Two pinks.
So Di says, sorry, I missed the raspberry flavouring. What make is it?
Queens.
Queens.
Appropriately for the royal wedding. How pretty do they look?
Got half here.
I suspect they're going to roll over in a minute.
Looking good.
So how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll go with 6. Oh, are you down far enough?
Yeah. I'm seeing it as you lift it up.
Oops, that one, the cream's just oozing out. Yeah. So now we've got this beautiful cream inside without having any sort of, rather than splitting the eclairs, which works fine, but it's not as pretty as an eclair that's completely closed up, you know. Don't need a lot of cocoa. I've just got a dark cocoa here. We're just using maybe half a teaspoon of cocoa in with this icing sugar.
Delicious looking, been waiting to see them. That's Beverly N. And Kevin Smith said, if I wasn't hungry before, I certainly am now.
So now we've got a little cocoa in there. I'm not going with my lovely, beloved chocolate coffee. I'm just going with cocoa. I'm just going with cocoa. Can't really be just going with cocoa. It's gorgeous enough. Now that's only about half a teaspoon. We will put the ingredients because it's not...
They look the perfect Barbie pink. They do.
I might go a little darker, Michelle.
You think? Okay.
Do you think that colour's all right? I think just a tad darker. This is a dark cocoa.
So you might need a bit more water.
Not really a Dutch process, but similar. No, it's not going to go any much darker.
No, that's the colour it is. It's cool. I'm just clearing your space so you've got somewhere to work in a minute.
So that's looking good. Now we've got our chocolate eclairs going in there. Same thing. We're going to be dipping them in and covering them just like that.
Nice.
Looking good. I am rushing this. I'd usually let the bubbles...
You could actually add the raspberry to the chocolate sometime. That's a nice combo too.
That would be nice.
Want a bit of a contrast today then. A nice chocolate raspberry sauce does sound great.
So that's 6 of those and 6 of those. Now that one, because the hole was a little bit further over, it's kind of, the cream is oozed out, but that's okay. Sure.
You're going to eat chicken on your plate now.
How about that? How good do they look? Now, we're going to start plating up. So if Michelle could bring over the my little round plate.
We've still got to make the tacos, but we're getting there.
We are getting there. So now, imagine, let's get the prettiest of these raspberry ones. We're just going to lay some raspberry. Oh, I'm getting. Oh, I'll crack that one open. See, I'd be sacked. So some chocolate, raspberry, chocolate. Let's get some of those lemon and meringue pies. Let's see if we can get the smallest and daintiest of our scones. So how would we lay this out? I think we'll probably have our eclairs just coming over the edge like so. They're still a little bit wet. We've got our little English tea scones there. We've got these lemon meringue tarts on the top. 2 lemon meringue tarts. That's looking pretty. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Right.
So
spares.
Lady G says, I wish you could be there for afternoon tea to stuff my face. And Maxie Bates said, oh, they look adorable on that shitty server.
Wow, that raspberry's nice. Try that, Michelle.
Okay.
That is so good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Go on, try one of those. Go for it. Raspberry, yum. Some spares. Okay, put them on the plate. Some backups. All this work, and I'm only going to be using. I think we should probably just go for 3 of those. No?
No, we'll definitely need a pink one. I'll take a pink one off. I'll need another bag for the
So we've got our scones.
the tacos. You've got a pipe there.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you put a bit of mayo in a piping bag for me?
Yeah, that was the one you were using, wasn't it?
Yes. It's coming together. Stay with me. This is where it was all culminating to in my mind. This last night before, probably a couple of days thinking about this. That lemon, that raspberry sauce is so good, by the way. So this would be the normal sort of panic stations in a kitchen, trying to get everything ready to be served on time. We haven't achieved that, not really, because it's just one person cooking with the help of Michelle, of course. Thank you very much, sweetheart. You are always my rock there to help me in the background. But
yes, you wouldn't have this.
You wouldn't do in a professional kitchen. You'd have people working on each recipe to make sure that it all comes together at the right time. But you can see what's happened today is you can produce with relative ease. And take my cucumber sandwiches now. With relative ease, and I do say relative because it is a lot of work, especially if you only got one knife that you keep having every time you do another dish. And I think that has gone, but you're saying about in our old kitchen. in my old kitchen, I had 4 or 5 bread knives. A lot of you will have as well. You know, you'll have more equipment. We've only got 1 bread knife, 1 chef knife. So for sure, it's a little more complicated for us. But I'm going to cut these crusts off now, and I'm going try not to crush the edge of my sandwiches. I'm going quite deep because the bread is a little bit dry towards the crust. I don't want any dryness at all. Now, we would never let our children cut the crusts off when they were kids, so they'd be saying now, Dad.
So Kevin says, Steve, could you show the dish again so I can take a picture for my girlfriend? What dish do you want to show?
The whole dish. We'll do it in a moment.
Okay. Di says, tastes delicious, ha. Water Girl says, yum. And Di says, I'm not going anywhere, want to see the finale. And Getting Mona says, I'm here till the final reveal, then I'm going to dream about eating this all week.
So there, very simply, just trim that off. This knife is losing its edge a bit, Michelle. I think the problem is because we've travelled so much with these knives, they've been through customs. Right now, I really want this to be as pretty as possible. Take these little fingers, these little cucumber sandwiches. We're just going to lay them.
Go down a bit for that?
Yes, come back down here if you want. I'm probably going to alternate. I'll just start my salmon sandwiches. Can you just clean my chef knife, because I think it's going to cut these a bit better. Just give the edge a wipe for me. Thank you, sweetheart. I'm finding we are very, very slowly getting there.
We are. There you go.
So back over to here. I've got the salmon sandwiches now. I'm going to use the chef knife this time because it may snag, though. I'm a little worried that it may snag. That's why we were using the serrated knife. Yeah, now we'll stay with the serrated knife. They generally do work better, serrated knives, when you're trying to cut through layers where you don't want to.
It's got to be slow and gentle. You're probably trying to rush it.
I am trying to rush it a little bit.
Yes.
Not wasting that salmon, it's too nice. And I'm actually cutting it probably so you guys are just getting a pile of crusts.
Let me get the crust out of the way and then you can. Still got one on there.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so let's take these sandwiches again. I'm going to use my chef knife. I'm sort of torn. I need a better knife. Anyone out there in the knife industry want to get me a new serrated knife? The Wusthoffs haven't lasted. That chef knife, that cooking knife. I can sharpen the chef knife. I can't really sharpen the bread knife, and I'm surprised it's lost its edge because we haven't used it that intensively. Although I suppose we have, really.
You're going to go all the way around and then put the tacos in the middle, or what are you doing?
Well, I don't know. Suggestions from the crowds.
Suggestions. I'll come back to watch your suggestions. Are there calories in dreams?
Yes, if the dreams are not sufficiently low in carbohydrates. No, I'm going to actually just. You wouldn't normally put this many sandwiches on an afternoon tea, to be honest.
Dice it layer up.
Yes, exactly. where I was thinking of going. You are on the same team.
You're not going to get your cream in your jam, though, are you?
No, it doesn't matter. So extras.
Extras, extras. That's my tea. Look, he's eating. Cucumber sandwich.
There's something very delicious about a cucumber sandwich.
So Kevin says there's an angle you can sharpen serrated knives at that sharpen all the edges without degrading from the tip.
Yeah, it's difficult with a. You can actually Woodstuff have a service here in Perth, I think, where you can send that knife back to be sharpened. It's a little bit like sharpening a saw blade. You have to use a rounded chisel to a rounded stone to get each of the serrations sharpened and then work on the back edge. So it's a lot more complicated. You can't just do it on a normal chef sharpening stone, which I can do with my chef knife and anything else. Now, taco time. So we've got our pretty little tacos here. I've got to think about the presentation because we've got our homemade jam or preserve. Doesn't leave us a lot of space for our tacos.
We agree.
I probably put them separately. Shall I go mayo, chicken, mayo?
I think so. Otherwise, chicken needs a bit, isn't it?
So to keep it moist, I'm putting a little bit of mayonnaise in the taco. I'm then going to take my southern fried chicken, sort of, if I can get it in there. This one's a little bit big. I'm going to put a nice little dollop of mayonnaise, and then I'm going to drop it in my bacon bits. So like that.
Cool.
How's that look? It's a little bit long on that chicken. So what a chef would normally do, if this was in the Dorchester or somewhere like that, the chef would then even up the chicken before it went out for service. I think that's probably quite important. So
don't put that one on there, make another one.
They don't do that?
No. No. You might eat it. So they were talking about dreaming and calories and fat dreams and exercising in the dreams. And
yeah, I think actually that sounds a good idea to me. If someone's coming up with a sort of an eating dream, then certainly an exercise dream will work off any of the calories that you might build up eating during that dream. So there we go. We've got our little tacos now. They are fresh tortilla tacos. You saw me make them with the masa. We put some nice, well-seasoned mayonnaise in the center. We've got some of these spicy chicken. They should have some of Maxi's beautiful Cajun spices on there. We've got some Canadian maple bacon, which I could have, to be honest, I could have mixed that in with the mayonnaise. We did talk about that, didn't we, Michelle?
We did.
Whether we should just mix it in with the mayo. And I'm going to make a nice cup of tea. I'm rushing this now because I'm so hungry.
Well, it's okay. It's cool.
Come down here. You see, we've got those maple bacon tacos in there now. We've got our sandwiches.
Counts for none, needs to be boiled down. So we don't need these. Clear space so it looks pretty.
Wait, everybody. Got a pretty little teapot here that matches the set. It's a bit of a big teapot. I'm just going to warm it first.
This one just to warm his teapot.
You've boiled an empty kettle for me.
Oh, I thought you got it already.
No. I've got about a bin more of water in a kettle that Michelle boiled for me.
But I said, put the kettle ready. You didn't do that bit.
Well, you could lift it up before you boil
Oh,
it.
I was busy.
You just felt it was empty.
I was busy. Okay.
So there's just about enough water to warm my teapot. I'm going with a hibiscus tea. I just think it'll look quite pretty. Now, they are actual tea bags. But they're quite a high quality. You know, those little linen tea bags. So there's full leaf tea in there.
So Di said that's the proper way of doing. My grandmother always warmed the teapot first.
And I could use fresh tea. I've got quite a lot of nice fresh tea. You're going to see why I'm using this hibiscus tea in a moment.
Should we bring it down for when you want me to do that one?
Just to get the kettle when it's ready on that.
Yes.
One.
Oh, okay. Can do that.
So we've warmed the teapot. I'm going to add. Do you know what? No, I'm going to. This is a huge teapot. Nice and hot. The pot's hot. The kettle's not yet boiled. How pretty does this look? Oh, we need a pot of afternoon clotted cream tea. I'm losing my sense. Clotted cream, not clotted cream tea. So a pot of clotted cream for the scones. Homemade jam. I'm going to make one of those up for you. Don't worry.
Cream.
Why am I saying don't worry? Michelle, can you go in there? Just pour it in.
Say when?
Keep going. All the way. That's good. Sorry about that. Bad television. Right. Facebook. Where's the phone?
Down here.
Pass me the phone. We're going to go live on Facebook.
Got to let them see what we've done.
I know that some of you are on Facebook as well. But I also, messages coming through from a friend of mine.
He says he's busy.
Who's busy?
Your friend, yeah. He said, no, 2 hours because he's busy.
I'm going to take some photographs of this, even though all this stuff is in the background, because it looks really pretty. So we've got the teapot.
We've got well, you can't have milk with that one, can you?
We've got stands, cups, saucers, knives, plates. We've got everything going on in the background, but it still looks pretty.
Kevin says, seeing his live stream makes me wonder how much effort is behind the scenes of all his other videos. Yeah.
It can be a bit that way. Facebook, where are you all? I'll use this picture. I'll use that last picture for Facebook for the and I'll probably use it for the thumbnail for this as well at some point, because I think it will look pretty. Is there a way of using a photo for Facebook?
Who knows?
Who knows? Change the theme. How about put on a photo?
I think you can choose a photo, can't you?
Clearly not.
No? Didn't I read that?
Okay. Start a live stream. Should we go portrait? What does everyone prefer? Portrait or landscape? I'm going to actually break a rule. Go portrait. Okay.
So Maxie Bake said, does all look beautiful and good enough to eat. Well done to you both.
Hello, Facebook. YouTubers, they've been with me for probably about 8 hours now, 7 hours, 8 hours. We're just going to take a look. This is the cream tea. It's coming on. Anybody out there want to join me for cream tea? We've got the beautiful clotted cream and beautiful Michelle. Oh, we're pooped, aren't we, everybody? Well, some of you said you were sat there with your legs up.
Kevin says, hello, Facebook.
Hello, Facebook.
Anybody on Facebook saying hello?
So, here it is. Afternoon tea. I'm just going to get some of that fresh jam. I'm not going to actually break into this heart of jam. But what I am going to do, because I might want to take some photographs, I'm going to take one of these beautiful scones, and they should just break open. Okay,
Oh, yeah. Nice,
beautiful inside. Not as nice as my scones, by the way. Not as nice as the scones that I normally make, which are a little bit smoother than that, a little bit more crumbly than that. Oh, everybody, can you see what we're seeing down here? We're going to take some of our clotted cream. Beautiful, rich, thick, gloopy clotted cream.
And is it cream first or jam first?
Cream first. Go and argue that one with me.
You're hidden all behind you with your nice tray with your hot. No, just make it hot, that's it.
But can everyone see?
Well, they can on YouTube. I don't know about Facebook.
Facebook see?
Probably, yeah.
Clotted cream. Here's my jam, my big pot.
Here.
Easy peasy, set jam, lemon squeezy, literally lemon squeezy.
Kevin says on Facebook too.
Oh, that's a little bit too much jam, isn't it? No, never too much jam.
Never too much
this
jam.
Jam is not as sweet as a lot of the shop bought jams, so you can find that nice balance. Okay, to the royal couple.
We're going over to Facebook to watch you.
Going over to Facebook, some of you.
Both. Kevin's over there. Water Girl's on her way. Oh, maybe Water Girl's on her way here.
Now look at this tea.
Oh, that's pretty.
This is a pink tea.
Hibiscus, isn't it?
Hibiscus tea. It's a lovely, light, refreshing tea. It's going to give me a little bit of a peck up at this time of day when we've been working all day. Working all day. We've been having fun all day. Oh. Now, look, Facebook, you weren't with me all day. These guys were. Look at that. Beautiful. Now, it's looking gorgeous from my side, so I better turn it around. Scone. Good? Shall, would you like half a scone with me?
Yeah. Thank you. Yum, yum. The scones are still warm, aren't they? Mm.
Wow. Oh, I love scones with clotted cream. I've almost forgotten how much. It's a little while since I've had creams and scones. A little more cream as we can. All that buttery goodness. This jam, who was here when we made the jam? Hey, Titsy, how are you? Ciao.
So Lady G says, have a wonderful afternoon tea. You both Deserve it. You guys worked so hard today. God bless you both. Lady G says enjoy. Ignatius says job well done. Di Hedges says you tease. Oh wow, gorgeousness.
It was worth it.
Beverly said me.
It was worth it. I'm going to have a salmon sandwich straight from the afternoon tea. I hope some of you will have fun. Make something. I've probably made it look harder than it is because we've done everything all day. And like I said, when Tammy from Yo-Yo Max was in earlier, we were chatting about just how much more complicated. I can get Michelle just to pop that on the side before I fall over. I'm going to sit down. But I was saying with Yo-Yo Max, Tammy there, because she fully understands the way we work, just how difficult it is to do this to camera. You can see the stages we took. They're not complicated, they're not difficult. What else do I need to try? Anyone else? Anyone want me to try something specifically? Salmon's really good. Ciao.
Staying a bit longer, the Americans will be getting up.
Ciao, Bella.
It's 5:30.
We have Tootsies on
Facebook.
On Facebook.
Tacos. Di says you haven't tried the tacos. Tacos. This one says tacos.
Here's the one I bit the end off of. So we've got the mayonnaise in there, which I seasoned up nicely with pepper, salt. There was a little bit of mustard in here, Dijon mustard. So
it's your homemade mayonnaise.
It's a simple homemade mayonnaise. We've got on top, we're encrusted with those lovely crispy, and I ate them on their own, so I know they're really good, the maple bacon pieces. We've got a really spicy chicken. I would have made it more spicy, but I'm running out of Cajun mix. Kindly, Maxi gave us a Cajun mix in the comments, so you can check that out. I'd add more spice to it. We've got hand-made nixtamalized masa shaped into a pretty little taco. Say, shut up and eat, Steve. Oh, that's good. It's like a taco chip, you know. What do we call them?
The tortilla.
Tortilla?
Nachos. Yeah. Maxi Bake says you should both eat it all, then doze off on the sofa and do the washing up whenever.
Good idea, Maxi.
Dishwasher will do it.
Michelle, do you want one of those?
Yeah. I'll have this one. Oh, it fell over.
No, I had.
Catherine Lai says hi from Malaysia on Facebook.
Hi, Catherine. So, hi, Catherine. I think it might be spicy Catherine. If it isn't, you'll wonder what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
I've had the lemon tarts. I had 3 or 4 of those, and I snook one when Michelle was outside. I'll tell you the other thing. Yeah, I'll fess up to it. The other thing I am going to just share with you one more time. I've got a spare one over here rather than breaking into the. Oh no, I haven't.
What?
I have got a spare one somewhere, unless Michelle's eaten them.
No, you haven't.
The raspberry eclair. I thought this was delicious. Did you try one of these?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Nice. Very nice.
Nice, aren't they? The raspberry, that's a Queen's brand of raspberry essence. And not tried it before, but man, it's nice. It's like eating fresh raspberries. Well, that sounds nice, Titsy.
You've got a cream. Well done.
Nice. So this one, even getting it near your nose, you can smell the raspberries, like a big punnet of raspberries. I like that.
So, yes, it's good. So I'm reading comments. Raymond Soin said, could you explain the taste of elderflower? Because we have got the lemon and elderflower cake.
Oh.
Could probably go in there as well.
I forgot something. Could you bring the caramelized lemons over, Michelle? There's other things. I made other things. Just before you all go. Yeah. Yesterday's elderflower. I made these caramelized lemons last night. They're beautiful. I love caramelized lemons. Actually, I could have done with cooking these a little bit longer, but often is the case when you're making things up to sort of 3 in the morning. I'm going to take, just to finish this off, a slice of my elderflower. Raymond asked me, elderflower, Raymond? Raymond, let me try and explain it. It's, for me, it's floral, if that means anything to you, because it's obviously a flower. Can you get the essence, Michelle? And I'll try and see if I can taste it in there. It might remind me just a little bit how... This one? No, the elderflower.
So I have to think what it was.
So Raymond, let me just try and remember the taste. So imagine lavender, very slight lavender, sort of floral hints. Almost a cassis sort of taste. I don't know why I'm getting cassis. The problem is they do put a little bit of citrus in there, or citric acid or citrus. So yeah, it's a floral, vanilla, florally sort of taste, almost a pandan. An interesting combination. And I suspect, to be honest, the only way you're really going to know, I think after all that work, these lemons are a little bit too big to look too good. A little cut in them. I was going to sort of twist them and lay them on top of a piece of my lemon cake, but I'll just give it a little try. So we could have put some little pieces of our elderflower and lemon drizzle cake on here as well.
Asking, is it sweet, elderflower?
No, elderflower in itself is not sweet. We used to have them growing all around the house years ago when the children were younger. And in the sort of late spring, early summer, the elderflowers come. They're a white flower, a little bit like a little cauliflower floret, but much lighter and daintier. So they were what we used to call like a cow's parsley, white parsley. And you can pick those flowers and you can boil them, add sugar, lemon, and make an elderflower lemonade, or you can then turn it into an elderflower wine. Later in the year, towards the late summer, I think it's probably mid to late summer, the berries start coming, dark black berries. Even better. Oh, I've got a bit here. Yeah. And sorry, you can make wine out of the berries as well. It's a time, they're like almost like a blackberry. They're all a little bit toxic, so you can't eat them. You can actually, you can get poisoning from them, but once you cook them, the toxicity comes out of them. And even the berries were quite floral, and they're not a sweet berry, not something you can just pick and eat, but the birds love them. Right, I think we're getting towards the end. I think Michelle and I are probably going to have a little bit of a rest, a bit of a wind down. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I really want to thank those of you that came in today and got involved, had some fun. I know some of you have been in almost the whole time, so good job for you. Certainly Michelle and I have been here the whole time.
A bit of our technical glitch in the middle.
Yeah, if you missed the first half and you want to go back and watch it, it's quite long-winded. I don't suppose you will. But we did have some technical hitches. So, have I missed anything? Questions? Quickly remind me if I've forgotten something, because I'd rather you tell me now.
No, Rachel said thank you very much. You did a great job. I don't think phenomenal is too strong a word. That's from Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. So, heaps of fun. I might still be able to get 2 videos up for the weekend, as I always try to do. So look out for those. We have been busy. One's still got to be finished, but we'll try and get them done. And thank you, everybody on YouTube and Facebook. Hey, James Wang's just come in.
I've got you on Facebook.
Be good. Loved you all. Share the video if you want. I don't think people are going to watch such a long live show. Bless you all. Have a great weekend. Get something good out of the royal wedding. Enjoy it, whether you're having friends round, family round, or just spoiling yourself rotten. Do something fun. Have a great weekend. Michelle and I will see you over the weekend through YouTube. And if we don't see you before then, we'll see you shortly. Take care. Loved you all.
Oh, I got to turn it off.
And Michelle's got to